it's a hot one.
Da 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 da. I hate this song. Da 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 da. Midnight song.
Da 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 da. Midnight Run.
There's a certain podcaster I know whose family plays this song on repeat for family parties.
Wait, how did you know that?
You told me that.
Okay, yeah.
Because we were talking before about this song, I'm sure in college. And I probably had no taste for the song back then too.
Well, just so people know, he's not talking about me.
His family doesn't have parties.
But if we did, we'd be playing Midnight Run. But the third host of our other podcast, Candy is Dandy, which you said also, Beto's family, for whatever reason, whenever there's a family gathering, Smooth by Carlos Santana and
featuring Rob Thomas.
Not Ben Folds, Rob Thomas. For whatever reason, that song always seems to come on, and it's not weird to him.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's not.
It's like going to a friend's house and like, well, why are you guys listening to Smooth over and over again? That's weird.
That's the theme song to a good time.
You're here.
Yeah.
That's why it's a special event. Yeah. That's why I thought you loved Ben Folds.
Yeah, Ben Folds, as long as it's, over 6.
Yeah, Ben Folds between 5. I like the prequel. Well, this is the prequel to you having a good time.
It's sure.
Because
that sounds like a math word problem. I'm traveling this time. Time.
If you're having 98 degrees of fun and Ben Folds 5
featuring Santana and Rob Thomas.
If you're listening to 5 for Fighting and it's 30 Seconds from Mars. So this is L.A. Meekly.
It's true.
The official podcast of not just Carlos Santana, but Los Angeles, which is the Rob Thomas of America.
Yeah, it's true. What band was he in? I didn't like the band.
He was in Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
The band, Carlos Santana.
The Carlos Santana Experience.
I don't know, but...
Matchbox 20?
Oh, well, that's part of the math.
Yeah, equals. Solve for Matchbox 20. Yeah, we're LA Meekly, one of the longest lasting, most consistent LA history podcasts.
I would say we are the only LA history podcast.
Sure.
There's other LA based things, but they don't actually cover LA history.
No, but they're treated like they do.
Yeah, they're
strange. It's strange.
I like how this introduction of our show has just become a bitter takedown of a different show each time.
For a certain amount of money through Patreon, we will sit for 10 minutes and just trash our enemies.
Yeah,
they are enemies, not collaborators, and they for sure have heard of us. That's the thing that I know in my bones.
And at the $10 a month level, we will give you the version of the episodes where the name of what we're talking about isn't edited out.
You could piece it together, but for $10, we'll just say it.
Let's just say it's part of the math word problem.
It's certainly an increment. It's a unit of measurement.
It's incremental. Insignificant. It's inconceivable. That's what it is. So this is LA Meekly, the world's greatest Los Angeles.
That's inarguable.
History podcast.
Yeah, history.
Oh, yeah, we're not accidentally from Scotland.
No.
Nar.
Someone online called us Pistery. Is that like a
compliment?
Yeah.
Is that like a new drink?
Yeah, I don't understand.
So we talk about the history of Los Angeles. That's what LA history means. I'm Daniel Zaffron.
I'm Greg Gonzalez.
And he is not from Cigarettes After Sex, which is not part of the math equation.
No.
And guys, I'm not Daniel Zaffron of the Daniel Zaffron I once saw on Facebook who lives in Canada. I know it's confusing, but that's not me.
That's not him.
I think.
I
wish it was.
Yeah, that one's much better, actually.
Yeah, that one has a lot better health care. So before we get into our September episode, because it is September, Fool's Day, we are going to talk about something that happened last month in August, something we did, something we have to recommend perhaps, or recommend against perhaps.
Yes.
So who wants to go first?
I can go quickly.
I bet you could.
Solve from... it's a race.
Talking about 30 seconds from not satisfied. Ooh, the Minutemen.
Oh, boy, geez. Men. Men. I went shopping for succulents, and to do so, I went to a place in...
That means you were cruising down Sepulveda Boulevard late at night. That's what Greg calls it. Isn't that sick?
It's succulents.
He's actually a vampire, and that's what when he goes hunting, that's what he calls it. I'm looking for succulents.
I went looking for succulents, and there's a place in Lakeview Terrace called Alley Succulents, Cactus and Succulent Nursery. It looks just like a airport hangar, like a structure that's like mostly tin. What is those called? It's like a greenhouse.
Like okay.
But it's shaped like an airport hangar. But it was great. It's really, they got a great selection.
Where in Lakeview Terrace is this?
It's off of the street.
It's off the freeway.
It's off the freeway. It's directly off the freeway. It's not where Rodney King was beat up, but it's close by.
Okay.
Lakeview Terrace, I can give you the address right now. It's 11226 Christie Avenue.
Wait a minute. It's 30 seconds from Mars Boulevard?
30 seconds from Mars Bar? But it's a great nursery they have there. They obviously specialize in succulents. And of course I went on a hot day and it was super hot in there, but they had a great selection at great prices.
Wait a minute, in a hot house?
In a hot house?
Who's this? So what how many succulents are we talking?
A whole room full of it. A long airport hangar style.
Okay. That is a lot of succulents.
It was a lot of succulents. And
is this where the spruce goose was created?
Yeah.
It's that hangar?
It's that hangar, yeah. It's actually a hangar that transports other hangars.
It's what hangars hang up on when they're not being used.
But I went there and immediately was like, this is my thing of the month. Because it was, every nursery has a little section for succulents. This is a whole nursery of succulents. So if your thing is succulents, because we're living in the end times and you want to still grow plants.
Because when the world sucks, get succulents.
That's absolutely correct.
Do they sell that bumper sticker?
They do, yeah. You have to handwrite it, though. They give you a marker.
Do they have Venus flytraps? Do they have carnivorous plants?
I did not.
Can I destroy my enemies in this place? Which are flies. They had a section for dangerous plants.
Yeah, Venus flytraps, but they were doing accounting. They have a job. They had like little glasses and the little hat. What's it called? The visor?
Those are actually Venus tax traps.
Those are Venus tourist traps.
You want to hear about my thing of the month?
Yeah, what you eat?
Mine, yours, yes. Venus flytraps do eat food. They eat flies. Succulents eat food. They eat, horse do fertilizer and all that. Mine is not food this time, which is uncharacteristic.
Wow.
I know.
Is it food ingredients or what?
It can be food. But mine is a compound.
Whoa.
I haven't been to this area in a while, not that long, but there has been significant advancements in this area since I was last there. And I'm talking about the LACMA Film Museum, La Brea Tar Pits compound.
You were at the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax.
I was there. Okay. I was shooting a character from the story we're going to be telling today. Oops. But I haven't been there. The last time I was there, if any of the new LACMA structure was up, it was just like, there was just like a Van Gogh leaning against a rock. There was nothing really there.
They're just handing valuable pieces of art and history to people walking by. Like, hold on to this while we work on this. Yeah.
Do you have room for this? Do you have a storage unit? But now the building is up. It's not finished, but it's there.
Okay.
And have you seen it?
No, I haven't been there in a minute.
There is a lot of controversy behind this building. Yeah. It's pretty cool. I don't quite understand how they're going to have, because it's all windows.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to have art just like facing an open window in Los Angeles.
Mac works a little bit better. It's all Windows.
I don't get it. It's I have a Linux brain.
I haven't seen the structure. It's all Windows?
It looks like the Brutalist made it, but there's windows all around it. Like it's sort of like a Brutalist amoeba.
Okay.
And then there's windows all around it and it stretches over Wilshire.
Sure.
And it's kind of cool, but just like with that now being there and the La Brea Tar Pits is going and will never stop going.
No.
And the world's
going and it won't stop going.
And you hit the ground
going.
And then you get stuck and you're an elephant.
But you're traveling at 30 seconds to Mars speed.
But wait, there's a twist.
45 grave.
There's a twist and Jimmy Eats World. But then also, the film museum is in its glory now, which is where I went to see The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. But just like that whole complex, I was walking through and I was like, this is good. Like this is a good, like there's so few tourist hubs, in Los Angeles. And this is like a place where like, you got to come here. There's 5 really good museums. There's the La Brea Tar Pits, there's LACMA once it's open, there's the film museum, there's the Peterson, and there's the the folk art museum.
Yeah, folk art.
There's 5 really good museums there. So that's like a real, like I could see like, this is going to be a really good thing for this. Like this is a cool place. Like there's cafes, there's art outside. The Big Rock is there.
Yeah. The Big Rock is there. The lamps are there. And it's just a nice place to find yourself. And your or near 3rd and Fairfax, which is Farmers Market, if you wanted to go in that direction. You can, I mean, if a tourist came to LA and just wanted to see museums,
That's the place.
You can go there and then go across town to the Natural History Museum and the California Science Center and make a weekend of that.
When the Lucas Museum, I haven't seen that since that was just like, it was just like Watto's head leaning against the rock. But from what I understand, I'm actually going to the Natural History Museum in a few weeks. But from what I understand,
my invite's in the mail or what? What's the deal?
Yeah. We're going to be meeting up at the Science Center.
Oh, maybe it's the Boulder Square.
But yeah, from what I understand, that structure is up now, and that's a really cool. Like that's going to look like those are the two big hubs now, and I like that Los Angeles finally has sort of like these are the museum areas.
Yeah,
and I think that's cool, and I think it's a good thing for the city.
You would think that was cool, but no, I agree with you. For once, I agree that that's pretty cool. That there are these two. I mean, there's museums all over LA, but here's these two where like there's a huge collection of things to do.
Yeah, these are like centralized art districts almost, and not even a district. It's just like a plaza, and also for let's just say the non-tourists like us. Like the film museum is showing really good movies in the best theater in town all the time, and I'm sure LACMA is going to be having programs and stuff.
And they have like jazz nights there during the summer.
I wonder if they'll still do that. We went to that before.
Who, you and I?
Yeah, you and my.
You and
I went there. Yeah, we went there because we were assigned to in school.
That's right. Yeah. Then we took that one girl.
We took that one girl.
That one girl who we've just written off completely.
Yeah, we won't talk about her.
Yeah.
Let's just say she is an Olsen. No, I think it's it's almost like a community place now, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And I will insist on walking through the tar whenever I go there.
What's your problem? You can't save that mammoth.
And does that mean I shouldn't try? Does that mean that the city budget for extracting me from the tar pits has dried up? Not yet, Greg. Not yet. Well, once that volcano erupts over there, then it's going to be the perfect compound for Los Angeles.
We should have a viewing party for Volcano.
At LACMA.
Yeah. Host us.
Yeah, host us.
Yeah.
You'll cover the costs. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. You got it.
So now we are in September. And Greg, what are we talking about this month?
Let
me finish.
I hated listening to that. I hated watching your face. You made eye contact with me when you did that.
My eyes not just cross, but they like switch sides.
And then they did that jackpot thing where they started spinning.
And lemons came out. Better luck next time.
Today we're going to be talking about two genres that come from Los Angeles, or like
I don't know about yours, but mine doesn't. But a specific type does.
A type, exactly. A certain wing of this big genre.
Yeah.
With 1,000 subgenres.
But as I was thinking about, as I was doing mine, and then thinking about yours, not knowing the history of yours, distinctly American music forms. Of course, we're talking about jazz and blues right now.
We're talking about American polka.
Yeah, we're talking about cumbia. You're going to be covering the history of punk music.
Punk in Los Angeles, the kid brother to the two other big scenes that happened.
Okay. Is one of them mine?
No. But yours is, I consider, a cousin to punk.
There's crossover.
Yeah, there's a crossover. The attitude is very much the same. If you had called your genre punk, I would have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Because it's the same spirit.
By the way, I'm talking about rap music. So it's going to be punk music for him, rap music for me.
Hell yeah.
Because we've talked about this for a while. We bandied around the idea of like, we should do because we've always felt like there's a lot of similarities here. Yep. So we thought that it would make a nice pairing in an episode with a little bit of Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And it's finally time to do it. This is going to be, I can tell it's going to be a long episode, but there's a special extra layer in this episode. Because last night you begged me, Daniel,
please, puppy, please.
Can I please listen to my music, Papa? And I said, no.
Yeah.
For I am doing my sculpting in my studio.
No, you must do your math.
You must do your math history before you can listen to your punk history. But we once again have the hottest addition to the LA Meekly Enterprise. LA Meekly Enterprise, a Candy is Dandy subsidiary.
An LLC.
So we have the old auxiliary cable where I can play music from my phone and you can listen along with us. Because, it didn't make sense to be talking about this music without hearing snips of it to really get a sense. So just to test it out, I want to play a quick little snippet from what I will quote Greg as saying, where punk music begins and ends. So let's just to test it out, just to test out the equipment. And this is, you sent this to me. You said this is where it begins and ends, and everybody needs to hear this before the episode
I'm angry
starts.
already.
All right, let me just get it queued up and...
Okay, stop it now. Everything's wrong. There's no fuzz. Where's the drama?
Hey, I heard the fuzz.
It's 8 p.m. in the suburbs. The cops are here to shut the party down.
Canada.
Okay. For anybody who knows punk, this is going to be Punk 101. It's so embarrassing how simplistic and oversimplistic I've made this research.
Well,
but to anybody who doesn't know, this is what my teenage years were.
And this is Greg's Act 1.
Yeah, this is my Act 1. Exactly.
Well, look, I don't know the history of punk, so this is news to me.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Great.
Is that a band? This is news to me.
Yeah, that's Huey Lewis's second band.
That would be a pretty good Huey Lewis cover band. This is news to me.
And the klezmer music version of it, this is juice to me.
And the O.J. Simpson centric cover of it, this is juice to me.
The Ninja Turtle version, this is ooze to me.
The famous pilots from American History version, this is Hughes to me.
Punk rock is not thanks to Charles Manson. The hard, fast, loud, defiant, sometimes silly, sometimes incredibly serious rock music would have happened anyways, because it's the evolution of all things, but in particular, art. It's the cycle. A popular thing grows to be distanced from its core fan base. It gets oversaturated when someone learns how to monetize it, and then something radically different comes. Just a little bit the same, but different enough. It kicks the door off the hinges, and everything in that medium is exciting and fresh and inspiring. But then it gets popular, and now everyone knows about it, and the hardcore fan base pulls away as a larger population identifies with it, and it becomes oversaturated once everyone learns how to monetize it and replicate it, and you could replicate it in loud, then suddenly a radically different thing comes along with it, just a little bit the same, and so on and so on and so on. It's all art. It's all everything.
And that's the end of Greg's explanation of punk rock.
It's circle of life.
But I mean, that's evolution.
Yeah, that's evolution.
That's what I call evolution, volume 3. But the same with mine that I was really noticing of like, I'm going to take something that exists and it's this exact same thing as evolution, but like there's one little thing that's different, and that one little thing turns out to be a strength.
Yeah.
And then that becomes the dominant thing. And then the little thing that is different. And then that
becomes the
thing.
So
it really is. But also, speaking of Charles Manson, the beat, would Charles Manson have told those other people to kill people if it had not been for the Beatles song Helter Skelter, which some people do consider to be the first punk song.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
What am I looking at?
What am I looking at here?
Is there something in my teeth or something?
Punk rock was once the thing to kick the doors off the hinges, but then it was rebranded as new wave, recycled decades later again as pop punk. Another definition of punk rock is fuzzy. Punk as a core concept is still very much alive, but the true meaning is always elusive. Some consider Bernie Sanders to be punk. Others consider Donald Trump to be punk.
Yeah, I know what camp you fall into. Boy, oh boy. I was paying attention, but when you talked about fuzzy, I wanted to play Fat Lip again, but I had already closed it. And
thank God, and keep it closed.
And there was a lock on my phone.
Can you delete the song off Spotify?
As if I use Spotify. That was Napster you were just listening to. I was listening to
LimeWire. And that was the best Nirvana song I've ever played. So why invoke Charles Manson? To me, Charles Manson is symbolic not only of the attitude that late 70s, early 80s punks carried, like let's stab beautiful rich people to death and get gloriously doped out in Death Valley before carving X's in our foreheads, but it's also more
X's.
Sure.
I mean, for a while,
and then a little bit of angles.
It started bleeding.
But it's more indicative of the disillusionment of hippie culture's rich kid peace and love mentality and post-war baby boomers' false sense of security and optimism. Conformity and even the Target brand non-conformity counterculture that hippie culture presented no longer meant anything after 1969, when it was clear that protesting Vietnam wasn't affecting anything, fighting for civil rights wasn't eliminating racism as a whole, and the fun-loving popular culture of 1960s can only feel relatable to kids from happy homes in the suburbs. But much like the Manson family creepy crawling through the city at night, something in the culture was festering.
I wonder what will come out of the current landscape, music-wise.
Music-wise, I mean...
Because there's people like someone I'm going to be talking about that is addressing stuff that's going on. I'm sure there's, I don't know, is there still punk music being made?
There's still punk. It's always like there's always going to be punk. But like the thing with that is like, I think Kendrick Lamar isn't punk.
Whoa! I didn't say that.
Hey.
No. I'm talking about
the concept of it.
Yeah, right.
The concept of it. Like punk rock still exists. The politics of it. Like it's just taken so many forms now. It could be anything that's sort of, it comes like confrontational.
And by addressing what's going on, I do mean taking down the man, Drake. At long last, Drake must be taken down. As you say, punk is still around. Is Manson still writing songs? Is Chuck Manson still writing?
This is your cousin, Marilyn Manson.
You know that new knife you've been looking for?
You know that new Cielo drive you've been looking for? Punk really happens in 3 places. The apocalyptically impoverished New York of the late 70s and the war-torn, rat-infested, right-infested slums of England. They both fight over who was first, and tagging right behind them was the little brother Los Angeles. Los Angeles doesn't claim to be the first punk scene. It's always a fight between England and New York, but
oh, it always is.
It always is. But inspiration was being pulled from everywhere. Steve Jones of the Sex Pistols from the incredibly poor part of London says he thought that they were going to start a glam band like T-Rex. It turned out to be the Sex Pistols. You see elements of T-Rex's whole thing in LA punk, as well as the godfather of glam, David Bowie. A lot of the early punks were glam. I forgot who said, it might have been Rodney Bingenheimer, who I barely touch on, who said like punk is just dirty glitter, like it's dirty glam. His influence.
Isn't dirt just dirty glitter?
Yeah. Think about that.
Yeah, I beg you to think about that.
It's all I have. I'm banking everything on. My Mr. Smith Goes to Washington speech is about dirt.
Think about my metaphor about dirt.
David Bowie's influence was seen all over the art school aesthetic of early LA punk. Black Sabbath from Birmingham, England starts in 1968 and is louder and meaner than any rock band before them. Not punk, but you better believe Greg Ginn of Black Flag looked to them for inspiration. The Velvet Underground, led by Lou Reed and John Cale in New York, were experimenting with introducing different instruments into rock groups and playing songs about being addicted to heroin and songs about the trans community. This was in the mid-'60s when everyone else is, the Beatles are talking about
Helter Skelter.
Helter Skelter, for instance. I Want to Hold Your Hand. In New York, the Velvet Underground are singing about being addicted to heroin.
I want to spit in your hand.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the man. In Washington,
hold his hand.
In Washington, you have the Sonics, which is a garage band to the max. Imagine the Yardbirds filtered through the heaviness of Black Sabbath and played at twice the speed. The Sonics are incredible.
And you're going to be telling me when to play whatever songs you've queued
I'll cue you, yeah.
Because I was like, wow, I'd sure like to hear who these Beatles are. These Beatles. What the hell do they sound like?
The Ramones from New York wanted to be a gross boy version of the 60s girl group, all of the Crystals, the Ronettes, the Shangri-Las, the Tammies, hence the Ramones.
I mean, that explains the hair.
Yeah. What I'm just trying to say is inspiration was being pulled from everywhere. Yeah. It's not just like one-to-one.
Yeah.
Chuck Berry, but loud. Or louder. Bo Diddley, but loud and fast.
When people always talk about like Black Sabbath, like Ozzy Osbourne saying like, yeah, my influences were the Beatles, and think like how is that? But then the more you think about it, I guess it does kind of make sense.
And I love when they break it down like that. Like Nirvana, I love Nirvana. I think Nirvana is one of the best punk bands that ever existed. Grunge is just mislabeled punk. But he was like, yeah, I was just trying to make the Beatles. And you're like, how? And then you like listen to a couple songs. You listen to what's the second track of Nevermind? The one where he's dressed like the 50s. Whatever.
See, this is when I should be playing it. Here, I think I know the song you're thinking of. I think I know exactly the song that you're thinking of.
Buddy, don't know. And they're just like, yeah, that's a Beatles song.
Okay, yeah, no, I found it.
Zevo works 24/7 until 99.9%.
Okay, I should have opted for the YouTube Premium.
$2 more. All right. This episode's over. We're done. But if you ask me, it seems that all the original punk bands from the first formative years, the proto-punk band comes from Detroit in 1967 with the nightmare glam boy Iggy Pop's band, The Stooges, who I personally think is the greatest rock band of all time.
I don't know. Have you heard of 30 Seconds
Yeah,
to Mars?
have you heard of
you heard of Rob Thomas?
Yeah, have you heard of Matchbox 20? And Smash Mouth is not on the list anymore? I guess you consider that a blues band. And it's not just the music that catches attention. The cover of the 1973's Raw Power was so cool, so radically different, so sonically unnerving that pissed off kids saw it on the record shelf and immediately connected with it. It's just like Iggy, shirtless, covered in glitter, throwing up on stage, covered in peanut butter, just slanted. The cover says him slanted holding a mic stand, and everyone just says like, yeah, that's me. And the music did not disappoint. You can go ahead and play the first track for me. This is not off Raw Power, but this is just my favorite Stooges song.
Okay.
My God.
Okay. Track 1. pretty punky.
It's
fuzzy.
It's fuzzy.
It's fuzzy. Ooh, should I do the fade out thing again?
Yeah, do the fade out. I like it. That was I Got It Right by the Stooges, or Iggy and the Stooges. It went by both. Darby Crash and Pat Smear had this experience at Licorice Pizza. So did Joan Jett and Belinda Carlisle of the Go-Go's.
Joan Jett, my old bean, my part of the alumni association from my high school, Granada. It's her, me, and John Elway, and I think Freddy Krueger, and
not Robert Englund.
Not Robert Englund. He did not go.
Freddy
Krueger went to he got to go pregnant. But that's the Mount Rushmore of Granada Hills. John Elway, Joan Jett, Freddy Krueger, and me.
If you've seen Almost Famous, when Lester Bangs is being interviewed on a radio show, he pulls out Raw Power and gets super excited. Iggy Pop, amen. That was the thing that really happened. People would look at the cover of Raw Power and think, what is this? I had that experience, but with a cover. I could talk about my own punk history, but I was in between middle school and high school looking for something different. And I swear that I invented punk in 1999 or something, because I wanted something as loud as Black Sabbath with a tempo of the Beatles that had Violent Femmes lyrics. And I'm like, there's no such thing. And then probably the summer that started staying up.
That's when you bought your accordion.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to call myself Weird Al.
So yeah, you are a big punk fan. Mm-hmm. Always have been for as long as I've known you.
Since
you've had an X tattoo, and I thought it was that Manson family thing.
Yeah, the summer in between middle school and high school, I saw a picture of Johnny Rotten in a E magazine, had a history of music. And I was like, what is this? And he was screaming and his clothes were torn. And that was exactly how I felt in between middle school and high school. The same summer that I found Conan O'Brien. So it was like everything that my identity I still now is from that summer. And then my brother had a 5-box set of the history of rock and roll. And I always stopped at the 60s. Yeah, it's a great. And then after seeing the picture of Johnny Rotten, I was like, I should try the punk tape. And then that was my 101, was that punk tape.
That's interesting. Like, it's interesting.
Because it was before Napster, so I couldn't hear the music.
So was it before Kazaa? I almost want to come back to that point, but I know we're going to forget it. But those older references of things that you and I grew up with are the same frame of references that punk people and rap people had.
Yeah.
And it's so weird that that we're almost kindred. I would not identify either of us as punk or hip hop.
Yeah.
But the frame of references are so similar. Yeah. It's weird.
It is very strange how there's these connecting points. I mean, I'm sure you and I have such similar experiences when you get into Conan or The Simpsons, where it's just one moment of clear. It's the Ratatouille moment of everything suddenly all makes sense. And it takes me back to this one thing. Okay. So Iggy Pop and punk stands in opposition of everything that was popular in the 70s. The same year that Raw Power comes out, the top of the charts feature Tony Orlando, Jim Croce, Elton John, Wings, Edgar Winter Group, the Isley Brothers, John Denver, Three Dog Night, Grand Funk Railroad, the Carpenters, and the Monster Mash.
My favorite. Hey, Edgar Winter, Frankenstein.
Very true.
Crossover hit to the Monster Mash. But Frankenstein's, it's not quite punky, but it's kind of
it's loud. It's metally. It's for sure the roots of metal.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this story. One of the early experiences that forms Iggy Pop's stage identity happens in 1967 at the University of Michigan. Iggy wasn't Iggy then. He was still Jim Osterberg from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Jim Osterberg decided to check out one of his favorite bands that was scheduled to play at the university, Los Angeles' own The Doors. Played my second song. Sorry, I didn't cue you up.
You were pointing at me like I was supposed to do my Jim Morrison impression.
He just takes his pants off.
Before you slip into unconsciousness,
This is hypnotizing me.
Another kiss, another flashing.
It's funny that I can talk so much smack about the Doors and then you play one Doors song. I'm like, okay, they're not that bad.
Okay, only their first 40 songs are good. I'm going to fade it out.
Okay, fade it out. If you line up all the classic rock bands of that era, the Doors are not the best by any stretch, but there is an element of gloom and doom to the band that helps stick them out from Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. As Exene from X puts it, I like the Doors version of the ocean, which was dark and scary. It wasn't the sunny beach that the other people liked, especially those who liked roller skating.
Yeah, it wasn't the Beach Boys version of the beach.
No. The Doors are a very dark band. And a lot of my Bible for LA punk growing up was an oral history called We Got the Neutron Bomb. It's really great, like run through of all the history from the players in it. But a lot of people are like, yeah, New York had the Velvet Underground. In the West Coast, we had the Doors.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like our sort of touchstone of like, oh, you can be dark if you wanted to.
Yeah. And also poetry heavy. Like
poetry heavy.
The rap hit poetry was a big influence. I feel like, I mean, I guess there was plenty of poetry on the East Coast, but I don't know. I'm thinking of like Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And that's poetry, but it feels more like folkatry.
Yeah, folkatry. Yeah. And then like on the New York scene, you also had Patti Smith was just like poetry set to guitar.
Yeah.
But it's not what Jim Morrison was doing. Well, Jim Morrison, we'll get it.
She kept her shirt on.
On top of that, Jim Morrison.
Greg only likes male singers that take their shirt off.
Iggy Pop, other people.
Jim Morrison. Bert Kreischer.
On top of that, Jim Morrison was a confrontational alcoholic and all-around asshole rock star who wore leather pants and pulled his dong out in front of a crowd. He went on the Ed Sullivan Show on live TV and sang lyrics to Light My Fire that a show's producer explicitly told him not to. He drank himself to death. So that very much like the punk aesthetic.
He pilled himself to death.
Sure. In 1967, Jim Morrison was going through his Kurt Cobain-esque, I hate fame, I hate my fans, they're only here to listen to my one radio hit phase. So the audience at the University of Michigan show were jocks and meatheads dressed in suits and tuxedos with their boring girlfriends. Jim Morrison does what Jim Morrison does best and gets absolutely wrecked and takes the stage for what the other members of the Doors would call their worst show ever. The drummer and the keyboard player left mid-set, and the guitarist, Ray Manzarek, bookmarked that name, Ray Manzarek, stayed.
Oh, I know Rayman.
Rayman, yeah. Stayed and played blues riffs over Morrison drunkenly jazzing up lyrics to Light My Fire with freeform poetry. He then started singing Doors songs in a high-pitched girl's voice and completely antagonized the audience, who then tried to rush the stage and kill Jim Morrison. The entire show was pure anarchy, and while 99.9% of the audience was livid, there was little Jim Osterberg thinking, this is the best thing I've ever seen. And I don't know if you can identify
to Iggy as they were killing Jim Morrison.
He was just like, I want to be that. That was pretty much all of Iggy Pop's identity. And just like Jimbo before him, Iggy would come out in leather pants, topless, as Iggy Pop is known to do, and scream, abuse the audience, come out drunk and high, roll around in glass, smear peanut butter on himself and the audience. He would go into the crowd and pick fights, but Stooges fans were an army of Iggy's who loved it. This was the show.
Didn't he take a big steaming doo-doo on stage once?
No, I think that's Gigi Allen was known for doing that.
Yeah. I thought he was punk.
Doo-doo's punk, and we all know it. Especially calling the S word doo-doo and saying the S word. And while all punk is definitely more about antagonism, that confrontational nightmare glam, heavy blues inspired rock that went hard, fast, and loud was the template for the formative years of punk. When it was Iggy's time to completely burn out on drugs while his band fell apart, he would do so in Hollywood, selling all his possessions for drugs and failing to start any kind of new band. I think one of the members of the Dickies, who I'll get into a little bit, bought a famous cheetah print jacket off of Iggy Pop for heroin or cocaine. I don't remember. So 1977 is deemed by many as the year that punk broke, and a flurry of landmark, untouchably good albums were released in that year. The Sex Pistols, The Damned, The Ramones, Television, The Heartbreakers, Dead Boys, New York Dolls, The Jam, The Wire, and The Clash all released albums that year.
Okay.
The London and New York scene are neck and neck as far as first place, constantly trying to explain that Dave influenced the other to start up.
That doesn't sound like either of those places.
It was pretty much, I think it's the Ramones said anywhere we stopped to play, a band started. I think it's the Ramones. I know from documentaries and reading books through my life that something happens to people the first time they see the Ramones. Like
in Rock and Roll High School.
Rock and Roll High School. Rock and Roll High School. That's how Dee Dee says it in the movie. And it makes me laugh. Pizza. Rock and Roll High School. Sex Pistols and the Clash might have been angry.
Speaking of the Ninja Turtles.
Dee Dee is such a Michelangelo.
He's such a Miranda.
Yeah. Sex Pistols and the Clash might have been angry and more political pointed, but there is a stripped down gremlin energy thing happening to Ramones that just changes people. Like there's footage of people leaving CBGB seeing the Ramones for the first time, and they're just like, what was that? They're like shaking. What was that? It was like watching a bomb drop.
It was like me walking out of that screening of Benjamin Button.
What did I just see?
What was that? Who was that old baby?
There's even a recording of Lou Reed feeling self-conscious because he's talking about like trying to achieve a bare bones style for the Velvet Underground, which is weird because he added a viola and the songs are 9 minutes long. You aren't being stripped down. But he talks about seeing the Ramones and being so self-conscious, like
he was stripped down.
yeah, he's so mad in this recording. I don't know where it's from, but he like can't. He's sort of like, that's what's really what all of us are trying to achieve. Like, I think that I'm stripped down. Like, look at the Ramones. Like, their songs are 2 minutes.
Yeah, the Ramones, and I've brought this up to you many times, and it's obviously, you know, but I use that as a criticism towards you of the remote. It's just the same song over and over. Like musically, it's the same song over and over again. And I like a lot of Ramones songs, but it is just it's really just the same blues progression that the Beatles use, that the Ramones then use over and over and over and over and over.
There's a joke, I think it's in Punk Magazine, which was English, of like the 3-chord progression. Like, okay, now start a band. Here's the 3 chords, go start a band. 77 was the year punk broke. But before that in Los Angeles, the primordial ooze was already bubbling by 77. The teens that would...
We can't get away from these Ninja Turtles.
I love them. The teens that would form the Germs, the Go-Go's, the Runaways, the Dickies were coming into their own, discovering music, meeting each other, becoming friends, and forming a scene by the time all those albums came out. They just hadn't recorded their own yet.
Yeah.
So let's finally get to the early LA punk scene. I don't know how to talk about it. Sadly, there are too many bands.
End of episode.
Yeah, end of episode. There are too many bands, too many names, too many venues, too many hangout pads to mention in this episode. So I'm going to bring up all the places that have stuck with me through my years of reading and listening to music and stories. I'm just going to talk about my own version of what I've been reading.
And when I told Melissa about the episode and I said you were doing punk, she's like, he's got to be careful because a lot of it came from Orange County.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm very careful.
They played. And of course, Sugar Ray.
I hate this.
Hey, Sugar Ray did start as a punk band.
They did. And whatever their album is that had radio hits had one song that was really fast. I'm like, this is the song. This is the song. Play this over and over again. Why don't they play this on the radio? Me as a teenager. Why don't they play this kind of stuff on the radio?
Why don't they put this in Shrek?
First off, the LA punk scene lasts the longest and arguably has the most influence on pop culture, which is kind of a bad thing because like it spawns like pop punk. Like pop punk really is like,
you want me to play Sum 41 again?
It's like rebranded OC skater punk.
Yeah.
And it's
that's what happens. Like same with rap, like a true raw meaningful thing happens and then it gets cleaned up to be successful.
Yeah. And
it's still good. Like the radio stuff is, I of course love it.
Yeah,
but it's just a different thing.
It's just like the watered down version of it. It's
the refined version of it.
You're asking for a Flavor Aid that has poison that Jim Jones people drank, but you were getting this Kool-Aid.
You're just getting straight Kool-Aid.
Yeah, you're getting Tang.
Have you ever thought about how I Just Want to Fly?
Like I brought up before, there's a fantastic oral history book called We Got the Neutron Bomb. And even before we get to The Mask, which I covered in the Venue episode, there are 100 micro music scenes that flourish and die within the span of months that lead to the formation of the punk scene. Because it's crazy. Even looking into Rodney Bingenheimer's nightclub, Rodney's English Disco, who was on Sunset, a block north of Guitar Center, when that place closed down, all the scenesters were like, wow, it's the end of an era. That was 1975.
They were right.
But that was 1975. Like we hadn't even started yet. And they're like, end of an era. A few years before it even gets started. There's no containing any of this. So pick any band I mentioned, and there's an epic rise and fall story there. The Runaways, the Germs, X, the Minutemen, they all have like a sub-story in every single venue you pick, every single sub-scene you pick. Every band has like their own story.
Yeah, we don't have time today to tell all the blow-by-blow origin of everything.
Then,
or do we?
Pick one and there are huge triumphs and tragedies. And as small as some of these bands were, the Runaways, Cherry Bomb plays in Guardians of the Galaxy. Minutemen's Corona is the theme song of the Jackass. Teenagers still wear the Germ shirts for a band that released one record of poorly recorded material.
What about the Misfits? Where do they play into this? I don't know.
I actually don't know. They're just cool. The most obscure band can have a huge effect on just one person. The Cramps, not LA natives, but they were big in LA, made a career out of highlighting and covering obscure garage and rockabilly music. The opening lyrics to the Minutemen's History Lesson Part 2 is, our band could be your life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God forbid.
God forbid. Okay, punk in Los Angeles and Southern California as a whole. Because of the weather and West Coast culture, the scene is much more art school glam, and its fashion element much more creative. The theatrical elements are baked into the bands, but it's crazy because the closer you get to the city, the more true that is. Because the Valley isn't as theatrical. The OC scene, which is much more hardcore, the adolescents, middle class, much more skate surf punk. Like the band Agent Orange, it's like a punk band, a surf band, but loud. Those bands are like hardcore street mean kids. The closer you get to Hollywood, they're all artsy. They all like video art bands. At this point in the research, I'm thinking I should just make a playlist, and I think I'm going to have to make a playlist for everybody. The theatricality even bears itself down to punk names, which is not original to LA, though the punk names are some of my favorite. After 1976, there was an appearance of the Sex Pistols on the Bill Grundy Show, where they cursed on live TV and were generally
Bill Grundy?
Yeah.
Who's Bill Grundy?
He was a talk show host in England.
Solomon's brother.
Exactly. Yeah. You've heard of.
Yeah, he was born on a Tuesday.
I don't even. In 1976, they had the Sex Pistols on. They were just kind of gross and nasty boys, and they cuss on TV. Punk had kind of landed on the laps of pop culture, even though the music hadn't even made it here. That was newsworthy, and they're like, what is this about? Now everyone wanted to have a punk name because Johnny Rotten of the Sex Pistols, Sid Vicious, The Damned has Rat Scabies, all the Ramones have Johnny Ramone, Joey Ramone, Dee Dee Ramone, Stiv Bators, and Cheetah Chrome from the Dead Boys, and so on. It only occurred to me recently that Joe Strummer's name is not his actual real name. Didn't even think about that.
No, he comes from the guitar. He comes from a long line of guitar strummers.
Yeah,
that's why
Strummersmith.
He made strums. Mm-hmm. He had to get into music.
Anyways, punk names take over. And in LA, we had Bobby Pin, later becomes Darby Crash, Pat Smear, Lorna Doom, Robo, Chavo, Billy Zoom, DJ Bonebreak, John Doe, Christine Cervenka takes Christ out of her name, becomes Exene, Alice Bag, Helen Killer, Donna Rhea, so on, so on, so on.
Donna Rhea is a real name.
That's a real name. Poor thing.
Trust me.
Okay, so we're going to start talking about...
case of Donna Rhea right now.
That's why I'm washing my clothes. So let's start talking about some of the bands. On many episodes, I bring up the incredible power pop band The Nerves with guitarist Jack Lee, bassist Peter Case, and drummer Paul Collins. They're originally from San Francisco, but land in LA and become a huge part of the scene, and in the early part of the scene. They're not the punk we're talking about, but they're scenesters who influence a lot of people and just kind of hanging around everybody. And the scene in LA and New York are very diverse, and a lot of stuff that you don't consider punk was considered punk at the time because they just hung out at punk clubs. But the Nerves play incredibly. That's what I think power pop is more my thing than punk, because it's just like incredibly catchy songs with fuzz.
You love this fuzz.
I love fuzz. I love fuzz so much.
And
they have songs.
Bet you love the fuzz.
They have songs like Paper Dolls, Hanging on the Telephone, which gets covered by Blondie later, and our third track, When You Found Out. Okay. Or When You Find Out. Excuse me. When You Find Out from The Nerves.
I thought you were going to say Banging on a Trash Can by the Beats.
Something on a Street Light.
See, this sounds very poppy Beatles.
Yeah. But a little bit faster. Fuzzier.
No one can give you more love than me. You say you're waiting for
See, this is a lot more
garagey.
I don't know. This sounds more radio friendly than
That's
most.
what I wanted to bring. That's why I bring this up. Like, this could have been in Radiohead.
Yeah.
There was no reason why The Nerves aren't brought up in the same thing as REO Speedwagon. The Nerves had really good songs. Like Hanging on Telephone's a great song. Paper Dolls is a great song. They have a great sound. Two of the earliest bands from the LA scene were an all-girl rock group, The Runaways, featuring Joan Jett, Lita Ford, Sherry Curry, and Sandy West, and a bunch of other rotating members. And the other one was The Screamers, a somewhat theatrical, synth-heavy electro-punk band led by Tomato DePlanty with Tommy Gear.
That's a real name.
That's a real name. And KK Barrett, who now does DP work for Spike Jonze. Not the parody musician, the director. My friend Bo growing up, his dad is KK Barrett. And I remember getting really into the Dazed and Confused soundtrack and him being like, oh, my dad's friend is one of those bands, the one that has Cherry Bomb. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's The Runaways. The Runaways were formed by a gross older man, Kim Fowley, who sounds like the worst person I've ever heard of. His dad played the director in Singing in the Rain, who yells at a lady talking to the microphone. Into the bush!
I can relate to this guy.
If you want to know what Kim Fowley is like, here's a quote of his. The loneliness of a visionary is that you might be the only one in the universe at the time who recognizes magic. I'm a magical person, and so I recognize other magical people. It takes one to know one.
Man, I get this guy. This is a good guy.
The Runaways,
this is my Iggy Pop.
The Runaways was a band of all teenage girls, not young girls, teenage girls. Joan Jett was 16.
They are not on the Epstein list, Greg.
Joan Jett was 16. Lead singer Sherry Curry, who was dancing around in her underwear, was 15. Kim Fowley, who put the band together, was 36.
Oh. That's kind of weird.
It's very weird, and we'll get there. But he was an old scenester and came across drummer Sandy West in the parking lot of the Rainbow Bar and Grill.
Oh.
He met Joan Jett, who was hanging around the scene, chasing after her idol, Susie Quattro, who makes sense. If you look at Susie Quattro, like, oh yeah, that's Joan Jett.
And then she said, oh man, I got to get back to C4, Granada. C4 was where detention was.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was the room.
No, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Did you have to get
I
detention?
would know. I got detention once.
Did you really?
Yeah. When the guy punched me in the head.
Oh, I do know the story.
And we all got suspended and I got detention.
Have a harder head. That was your
that guy, Freddy Krueger.
my gloves are being washed right now. I got to just hit you for now.
Yeah, he went by I was going to say Edward Hands, but that's a different guy with a similar condition.
Edward Hands. So Kim Fowley put all these girls together because he wanted, like the Monkees wanted to put a group
girl
together.
monkey.
A girl monkeys.
She monkeys.
Yeah, she monkeys. Thank you.
Hey, if you got a all girl cover band of the Monkees, the She Monkeys,
that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I have such a romantic idea of the early Runaways because Joan Jett, who I think was in either Granada Hills or this area, would take 4 buses to Huntington Beach to hang out and jam with Sandy with her like Sears guitar in a like bag, in like a grocery bag. Would take a 4-hour, 4-bus trip to Huntington Beach from Granada Hills.
Yeah.
They ran through some players, but ended up with a young Lita Ford, who will later become a hard rock musician in her own right. Jackie Fox came in, and finally they found the singer Sherry Curry. And Kim and Joan wrote the song Cherry Bomb on the spot for Cherry Curry to sing and give her an opportunity to sing in sexy. So they wrote this for her to audition, and this is their biggest song.
Yeah, and it goes a little something like this, you know.
This is a great song.
Can't stay at home, can't stay at school. Old folks say you're pulling a fool. Down the street, I'm the girl next door. I'm the fox you've been waiting for. Hello, Daddy. Hello, Mom. I'm your cherry bomb. Hello, world. I'm your wild girl.
That's that Granada Hills sound.
That's it, baby. Heart wasn't playing songs like this. Any band on the radio at the time was not going this hard about a song of like, I'm a teenager, I'm going to sleep with your husband. like parents should be worried about me. Like the Runaways are great. They're a great band.
You're the pervert.
I'm not. I'm
no, you're not a pervert. You're the pervert.
Pervert.
Like I just said.
I'm not saying I like that. It's just a cool mentality to have as a teenager.
Oh, okay,
it's very much.
Then release the Epstein list.
Have you ever
Prove
heard
how much you don't like it?
It's funny because like hippie culture is treated as such like peace and love. Like, okay, first of all, John Phillips is the worst human being alive. But like Michelle Phillips was basically sleeping with him as a teenager and went to his door and told his wife, like, you're out, I'm in. But then they were like, California Dream. Like, no, she could have been in the Runaways. She has a Runaways mentality, but she was singing about like how nice California is. Baloney. That's why I call baloney on the singer-songwriter, on the 60s singer-songwriter, because they were all jerks.
And that's why I say loud and proud, okay, boomer.
They toured England and Japan, where they laid the seeds of punk. One of those bands that, like, anywhere we went, a punk band started. But they were also being sexually abused and exploited by Kim Fowley.
Runaways were?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They were being sexually abused and exploited by Kim Fowley. And any older man put in charge of the Runaways would just want to have sex with them, and probably did. The band fell apart. Joan Jett and Lita Ford continued making music. I said Sherry Curry, but she would appear in a lot of movies. The band broke up formally in 1977, the year that punk broke. And near the end of the Runaways' career, they were being followed. More Joan Jett was being followed around puppy dog style by these 2 teenage boys, Paul Beam and George Ruthenberg. More on those 2 later.
Where's Joan Jett now? Like right now? Activate your Joan Jett tracking device.
I think that she's on a private jet.
She's on a private Joan.
Yeah, private Joan right now. The Screamers originally started in Seattle as the Tupperwares, where in 1976 they played their first show at the premiere of the most punk movie ever, Pink Flamingos.
Okay.
A good place to start. This was, like I said, the first show, but Seattle scene grew boring and they sought excitement in a bigger city. So the group, minus member Rio de Janeiro, landed in Los Angeles. When they arrived, they moved into Hollywood and very quickly got to know all the kids hanging around the scene, getting to know all the hangouts. Their neighbors next door were the Nerves, and they would later go on to discover another great LA punk band, which I don't really touch on, the Weirdos.
Okay.
Great punk band. The Screamers' first LA show was hyped up by Slash Magazine, which I talked about in the magazine.
Yeah, that I've noticed it's happening to you too, but in this episode especially, I'm like, as we talked about in the previous one,
episode,
like these are the
This is
This is what was the soundtrack of
quests.
what was going on. Yeah, the side quest.
Yeah.
These are optional, but if you want 100% the history of Los Angeles, you got to listen to this.
It's funny how many times I've brought up punk, but like this is the first time I'm covering the scene as a whole.
Yeah.
As a whole, quote unquote. It was a show to hype the first issue dropping of Slash magazine. So this was a release party, and the first issue was about the Screamers. So it's very Ouroboros. Their first show
Which Iggy Pop tried to do on stage. He tried to Ouroboros himself.
got pretty close.
Yeah. Oh, really close.
Really close.
Don't get me started on how close Marilyn Manson got.
Yeah, he needed help. The first show from the Screamers was at Slash headquarters, was at Larchmont Hall, the brick building with the curved entrances in Larchmont Village, which is next to the bank. The Screamers were, they said, the first punk band that Exene Cervenka of X saw when she arrived in LA. And sometime later, X would be opening for the Screamers. That's just kind of how that all worked. They would record live sets. So they would perform live in Oakland at something called Target Studios, which was like, if you're into punk and you want to see it, you want to buy a VHS tape of Tang Records in Melrose, you would buy a Target video, and it was them performing live. Like Black Flag has a Target video, and so on and so on. But overall, they would never formally release an album. They never recorded. They were very interested in video art. It was a very artsy band, and they wanted to capture their stage presence. And they thought, like, our band isn't just music; it's all of us. So they never recorded an album. So if you ever hear a Screamer song, it's probably like from a tape, or like a what are they called? What do you rip a tape and it goes around? Like you record it yourself at a live show and then it passes around. What's that called?
It's illegal.
Illegal, yeah. A felony. So the band dissolves in 1981.
A bootleg.
Bootleg.
Yeah.
The band dissolves in 1981. All they had was videos, demos, and memories. So we're going to hear a little bit of Screamers, but I want you to skip ahead in the song because the intro is more than 30 seconds.
Okay.
Skip like, I'd say 20 seconds.
I can't do that. I can do 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then go back 20 seconds
Yeah, 20
and then
seconds
go
and
back.
then go back, yeah.
Actually, I can't. It's only 30. Okay.
Great intro. Very synthy.
If I could describe this in a word,
Yeah.
fuzzy. This is Halloweeny.
Yeah, the synth. Let's get to him singing and then you can fade out. Great. Very scary.
It is scary.
Yeah.
This is frightening me. This
Turn
is
it
not
off, Greg.
Granada Hills music.
Speaking of Granada Hills, let's talk about a Valley band.
Okay.
This is one of the big
I didn't know
ones.
there was one other than
There's
Joan Jett.
several.
Really?
Yeah, well, not several. There are a lot of Valley bands. They had to come to Hollywood because I don't know if there was a Valley punk scene. We have to ask Valley Relics guy. The Dickies were another.
He is the Valley Punk scene.
Yeah, I think he might be. Yeah, the Dickies were another early Valley band. I think that you would genuinely love the Dickies.
know who I've never even heard of this. I know I like their pants and their flaps you wear so you don't get food on your.
They were not really a punk band in the dirtbag sense of the Hollywood crowds was. They were fun and energetic, and they were hated by a lot of people in the scene. They were not being gross. They're mostly known for covers of rock songs. They did covers of Nights in White Satin, Paranoid. They did a version of the Banana Splits theme song, which is really great. Although I think their best song is the next one that comes up. You drive me ape, you big gorilla.
Yeah, this is a Valley song.
Yeah.
What's that I hear? An ambulance showing up? Is that a gorilla on its way?
You got it, hey! That big gorilla. You got it, hey, hey!
This is a Daniel song.
This is.
I wanna dance.
It's got references to animals. I'm in. That's
I'm in.
punk to me.
Son of a bee, I'm in. The Dickies and the Descendants from Manhattan Beach, who I don't really talk about, are early examples of pop punk. Although the Descendants' big album, 1982's Milo Goes to College, is more like power pop fuzz sound that I really like. I don't really talk about Descendants, but like I think the Descendants and the Dickies lead to like all of pop punk later, which I don't like, but I do like those two. They have a song called My Age, which I can't help but play because it's one of my favorite songs. It's off of
these
Milo Goes to
musical
College.
cues are coming fast and loose.
They'll start slowing down after this. Listen to Milo's voice, though. It's so gruff.
Almost ready, almost there. Or is it already over? Friend in need, friend indeed. Need someone to hold on. Alone at night, plans a game. Planted, thinking that I'm in pain.
If all pop punk sounded like this, I'd have no problem. But it all becomes Blink-182 at some point.
This voice sounds like in a TV show or a cartoon where someone's doing an impression of a punk band. That's what they sound like singing.
Thank you. The Dickies are probably best remembered for writing and recording the theme song to Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the
okay.
Dickies. So the two boys who would
A
pop
Valley movie, if
if I've ever seen one. The two boys who would pop up when Joan Jett was recording The Runaways, Paul Beam and George Ruthenberg, were huge scene stirrers, and the local art school hippie troublemakers were looking to start their own band. Those names were not punk enough, though, and soon they would be changed to Darby Crash and Pat Smear, and along with Lorna Doom and Don Bowles, would create one of the most cult-like bands that ever existed, the Germs.
Yeah, I know them.
Can you play Lexicon Devil for
Lorna
me?
Doom, that's like if someone was named, I'm Sarah P.
It's supposed to be like Lorna,
Lorna Doom.
like a Dune.
Yeah.
Dune, like
Lorna-
Dune.
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 Lorna Doom is like a cookie, isn't it?
Yeah,
Or like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dune.
Dune. You see, Sarah Lee is a baker. Sarah P is what comes out of your little urethra. It's punk, Greg.
It's punk, Greg. It's punk. The Germs are not my favorite punk band. And back when Tang Records on Monroe was one of my favorite shops, which RIP, when that was the thing, I forked over $25 for a live Germs VHS. And in that tape, realized that they are an awful band. But I like Lexicon Dev. I like GI. It's a good album, but come on. They're not very good. I still kind of like them, but there's dozens of other bands that do laps around the Germs musically. But what they mastered is absolute chaos. If I could pick one band to do a whole Meekly segment on, it would not be my favorite bands. It would not be X. It would not be the Minutemen. It would not be the Bags. It would not be Black Flag. All great bands. It would be on the Germs, because the Germs just are LA to me. There's a weird, it's like the Manson family. I always say like the Manson saga is so LA. The Germs are so LA, and that's kind of a bad thing. It's like an indictment of the city. There's so much LA lore in their story. First off, Darby Crash is an incredibly intelligent, suicidal, drug-addicted dirtbag who everyone seems to love. He ran at max speed and only max speed.
Is that another person in the punk scene?
Is it? Yeah, who's like the daddy of punk scene?
Yeah, he's Max Headroom's cousin. They're related by Max.
By Max, yeah. This is a quote from Darby Crash. You know what's fun? You take 10, his very nasally voice, you take 10 hits of acid and you drink a 6-pack of beer and you go to the Santa Monica Pier and there's this bridge that goes nowhere because they're like supposed to lower it for boats. And you can go out there at the end and you just jump off, right? And you could swim, and it's so great because it's so dark, you know, and you could swim, and it doesn't matter if you live or die or anything. You just swim and swim, and you could feel the fish nibbling at your feet.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
That's Darby
I don't like
Crash.
this. I don't like any of this, especially the voice.
Paul was born in 1950 to a single mother with 3 kids. He was one of the 3 in a small apartment above a bar in Venice Beach. They moved around West LA a lot. Paul was kind of a weird kid, very religious at a young age, and they lived near a church, and he would walk up to the church by himself and attend church by himself. When he was 11, his brother was murdered.
This is a good guy.
This is a good kid. His brother was murdered, found dead in a car.
Oh, God.
His brother had been dating the sister of actor Mike Farrell, who had been best for known playing Captain Honeycutt on MASH. That's just lore. 2 years later, the stepfather, Bob Baker, not that one, his stepfather had a heart attack and died. And these were the only 2 stable male figures in Paul's life. And for high school, he attended University High School, or Uni, which is off of Santa Monica Boulevard near Federal, which is like West Hollywood, West LA. And because he was smart, he was put into a special alternative school within Uni known as IPS, or Innovative Program School, or as Paul called it, Interplanetary School. The program...
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. The program sounds really weird and culty, because it mixes elements of Scientology with this EST large group awareness training, which was an infamous 2-week crash course in reaching your human potential, which always sounds scary, but it was closer to like a West Coast cult group, like a New Agey cult group that required you to surrender yourself to the founder. The word brainwashing gets tossed around a lot when talking about IPS program at Uni, but here's the thing. Paul was not having his brain washed. He was the one that wanted to do the washing. The program allowed students to create their own classes, so it was a hippie.
If you can't cult them, if you can't beat them, cult them.
Cult 'em? I think we can make that a phrase. Put that on a shirt.
If you can't cult them, beat them.
So IPS would allow students to create their own classes. So it was like I said, like a hippie new age cult school, which is where at the age of 12-ish, Paul met his new bestie, George Ruthenberg, who, according to Darby's mom, I don't know how accurate this is, but Darby's mom in Darby's oral history book said that George was the son of cinematographer Joseph Ruthenberg, or like he said that his dad was older than him, famous for inventing color television along with Howard Hughes. If that's true, then his dad might be Joseph Ruttenberg, who's one of the inventors of color film. I don't know how accurate that is, but clues kind of led me on the internet to that.
I don't remember Howard Hughes being involved in that
Me
even.
neither. Like I said, I don't know how accurate that is, but the ages kind of line up. That might be his dad. His dad was from Germany. Joseph Ruttenberger in the 80s or late 70s would have been in his 80s. I don't know. So Paul and George created a class called fruit eating, where they would go to the market and eat fruit for an hour, and then they'd go back to school.
Okay, sign me up.
I could do that.
I can major in this.
Yeah. The two were also experimenting with LSD at this point when they were like 12 or 13, which sounds like a stretch, but my middle school was full of 12 or 13-year-olds who were killing themselves and trying LSD for the first time. So they were expelled from ISP Uni in 1976, right around the time that they got into punk. Oh, and they also got expelled for trying to brainwash other students. The boys started getting into the music scene, copying Bowie and Roxy Music, and from there, they found the Runaways and chased down Joan Jett. They were like, all the boys were into, what are they like? All the boys were into, I forgot what band they had an example of, like Led Zeppelin, but we liked the Runaways because I think they were both gay. I don't know. I know Darby was gay, at least bi. I don't know about, okay, whatever.
This is the gossip column.
Yeah, this is the gossip column.
Part of the episode.
They would later meet.
Guess who's gay? That's our new segment. There's like no veil around. Guess who's gay?
A 3-hour episode. They would later meet Teresa Ryan and her pal from Thousand Oaks, Belinda Carlisle, who was going by Dottie Danger. And the two would jump into bass and drums for the
Some Thousand Oaks?
Yeah. And they would throw in themselves into bass and drums for the boys' new band. Although Belinda would end up getting mono and was out, replaced later by Don Bowles, who I knew from that recording studio.
Yeah, she got mono. Guess what? They got stereo.
Try to keep up with this, Belinda. When I was part of Split 7 Records record company, we had an office in a building on Soto and something. I forgot what the cross street was. It was like deep in that area. And our neighbor upstairs was Don Bowles, who was the drummer from the Germs. And it was cool. Like, oh my God, that's the drummer from the Germs. And then we started hanging around. And then he talked so much. I was like, oh God, Don Bowles is here. I got to get away from the drummer from the Germs. Don't worry about Belinda.
Never meet your heroes.
Never meet your heroes. Don't worry about Belinda, though. We're not done with her. They weren't Germs yet.
Wait, she's not going to go? Is she in the Go-Go's?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, good.
That's great. I love that halfway through you lost all your confidence.
Wait a minute, then why weren't you laughing?
It doesn't make any
That's
sense.
what threw me. Like, I knew it was really funny, but you weren't laughing.
There's no explosion of laughter.
The only explanation must be it was not factually accurate.
That joke is so factual.
Fact. That's how I laughed at factual things.
So they weren't the Germs yet, but they were about to be. But they took on their punk names. Paul would become Bobby Pin, later Darby Crash. George becomes Pat Smear. Teresa becomes Lorna Doom, and Belinda Dottie Danger. Don Bowles is just Don Bowles.
Wait a minute. Pat Smear is a man?
Yeah.
Why did I always think Pat Smear was a woman?
Because it's a thing that happens to ladies. Is that it? Is that what you're...
What do you mean?
Wait
a minute. Fact. I don't know why. Maybe I was thinking of Xena or whatever.
Oh, maybe,
But
yeah.
I don't know why I always thought Pat Smear was, because I guess it's Pat.
It's Pat.
Could be a boy or a girl.
In 1977, the great English punk band The Damned. I should have a Damned song here. It could be literally any track off of Neat, 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 including the song Neat, Neat, Neat. They graced the valley with their presence, stopping at Bump Records at 5230 and a half Laurel Canyon Boulevard in North Hollywood, which is a great punk shop.
What's that near? 52 Is that like near the Ha Ha Club? Or as I call it, the Fact Club?
It's on Laurel Canyon, my friend.
Isn't that?
No,
that's on Lancashire.
That's on Lancashire.
Laurel Canyon?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll drive by there later.
That's like Valley Village.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
It's your turf, bro.
Get it factually correct. Yeah. That's Valley Village.
Yeah, that's Valley Village.
Maybe at the time it was not Hollywood.
Fact. They had an in-store show.
It might be Valley Plaza. Fact.
They had an in-store show, I think a signing or a show, I don't know. The Damned come to town, you show up. So like the entire punk scene of 1977 LA crowded, including Angeline. People were like, wait, Angeline was there. Huh. So that night at the Orpheum in downtown, the Weirdos were going to headline a show. So at The Bump Records, whatever it was with the Damned, a drunken Pat Smear and Darby approached the Weirdos about opening for them. They were very shy but drunk. And like, we have a band. Can we open for you? And for some reason, the Weirdos like, all right.
Hey, doesn't hurt to ask.
At the Orpheum. And I don't know if the Germs had practiced as a band yet. They called themselves a band. Did they know how to play? I have no idea.
All right. This is now a nightmare I have repeatedly of like, hey, can I open for you, John Mulaney? Or so, and then without having, and then getting up on stage, and not having anything to say.
Yeah.
I have that sort of dream probably once a month.
When's the last time we've done comedy? 5 years ago?
I still have
that dream. Yeah, I'm with you. I still have dreams where I'm on stage and I can't read my notes. Nightmare.
Wow, and they willingly walked into a living nightmare.
They did.
Wow.
Punk. So, of course, it's the Orpheum in downtown in the 80s. So it's not that, or late 70s. It's not that great. They're going to open for the Weirdos. Not a big deal. But the Damned decided to attend the show as well because they were in town. They didn't know what to do. They were looking for a punk scene. And all these punks are like, when I hang out. And the Damned from England were like, yeah, okay. They started as a punk band. They kind of come like a pop band, but there's a video of a live show. And then the lead singer, Dave Vanian, would dress like a vampire, but like paint his face white and come out with a cape. But they're on a show. I don't know. It's not the Old Grey Whistle, but they're like, introduce yourselves, boys. And the guitarist's like, I'm Captain Sensible. And Dave Vanian, and in the background with no mic, the drummer's like, rat scabies. And it's so funny to me. I think about that all the time.
That wasn't even his name.
What's your medical ailment? So the show at the Orpheum. The Germs take the stage. They were drunken messes, of course. They were drinking on their way to the show. Some of them wore their clothes inside out. How punk.
The hubris.
Yeah, the hubris. Oh, the hubris.
Wow.
They were throwing food at each other, which they're known to do. Darby had heard about Iggy Pop smearing peanut butter all over himself. So he brought peanut butter and just like dipped the microphone in it. And he's like, I'm so punk. And everyone watching the show.
Pretty good, though.
I eat it. They played for 5 chaotic, unmusical minutes before the Weirdos decided, let's just move on. Like, this is not funny anymore.
Get the big hook.
Yeah,
Let's get them off stage.
Yeah, but this was their introduction. These are the Germs who are just pure chaos.
And this experience didn't turn them off from it forever. Because like if that was my first experience on stage, I'd never get on stage.
This is
again.
what they wanted.
Wow.
Oh, the 13-year-olds doing LSD and going to punk shows. This is exactly what
Where's
they had
their
planned.
shame?
But this was their introduction. They were followed by the wonderful, this is an LA punk. I just love this band. The wonderful San Diego punk band, The Zeros. And after the set, which went well, Greg Shaw offered to record their first single, Don't Push Me Around, which is a song that took me forever to find. When I first heard it,
I'm listening, Greg.
I'm like, who's this? I heard it at a show. I think the Diffs were playing.
Always want me to come, but I don't wanna. Always want me to come.
Again, the same simple blues progression.
Yep. No problem with it. It works.
Always talk about nothing. Me, I don't wanna do nothing.
That's the Zeros. They're just cool. I like them. In attendance at the Orpheum show was a young Alicia Velasquez, or I also read her last name is Armendariz. I read both. Or as she would be known soon, Alice Bag. Her first impression.
You say that as if I know what that means.
I'm sorry. She's a big deal to me. She came, the Staples that I worked at on San Fernando Road in Atwater had so many old punk people come into it. Alice Bag came in and I was like, I have a question. She's like, yeah. And she looked concerned. I'm like, are you Alice Bag? And she's like, oh, I thought I was in trouble. Yeah, I'm Alice Bag. Pat Smear,
I thought you were going to do the joke of, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have your rewards card?
Could do that whole bit right now. Pat Smear came in. The guy from the Gears came in. Mark Maron came in and Marie Bafford came in.
Right.
Comedy punk.
The soon retired Mark Maron.
Yeah. Anyways, her first impression of the Germs, I could do better. And boy, did she. More on her in a bit. But after the Orpheum show, the Damned stayed at the Screamers' house because the wonderfully talented Tom Verlaine of the band Television, one of the best guitarists of all time, did not want them around. So at that point, the Damned got booked to play at the Starwood, which one of the clubs run by the terrifying LA character Eddie Nash, who we brought up in the Wonderland Murders episode.
He ran a punk club?
He ran like 4 of them, but Starwood was his most famous.
Eddie Nash?
Eddie Nash.
Oh my God.
Who they say is Alfred Molina in... What?
The Fixer?
No.
That's not the Fixer.
That's not the Fixer. You're thinking of Eddie Mannix.
Eddie Mannix. Okay, I know Eddie Nash too.
Eddie Nash, the big scary guy who ran drugs through... what was the... God darn it. It was the Tiki Club across the street from the Man's Chinese Theater. Eddie Nash ended up running drugs through that.
Hooters.
But he also... Hooters. They say Alfred Molina and Boogie Nights.
That's the TT Club.
That's very funny. Fact. Oh my god. Is that the dirtiest joke you've ever made? I don't know if that's the dirtiest joke you've ever made, but I'm proud of you. Oh, he waits for the punk episode to get permission to do it.
Yeah, I had some peanut butter also.
You know, Iggy Pop used peanut butter.
But it's pretty pump. It's pump music,
Yeah,
right?
pump music,
It's pretty
yeah.
pump when I eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, isn't it, Greg?
This one, more peanut butter than jam. They say Alfred Molina and Boogie Nights is based off of Eddie Nash. Eddie Nash, of course, was probably behind the Wonderland murders. Big scary figure.
Right.
Ran to Starwood. The show was another punk the one at the Starwood was another punk catastrophe. It ended in 20 minutes after a fight broke out. And then backstage drummer, Rat Scabies, almost fought with Joan Jett. But then Sandy West,
With
the drummer.
Joan Jett?
Yeah. And then Sandy West, the drummer, had to come and smack him across the head. By morning, they're all laughing it off. But it's those 2 nights. The people say those 2 nights, the night at the Orpheum, the night at Starwood, are like a dozen punk bands start after that. Like the night after, like, okay, we got to start a band and do that too.
Is like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Exactly. Like it just like the 2 shows that like the weekend that launched 1,000 punk bands on LA. Soon after, Slash Magazine and The Masks started getting traction because an actual scene was developing. To long story short, the Germs, they started getting good, not great. And with the help of Joan Jett, were able to record their first album, G.I. She produced it. Through all of this, Darby was...
G.I. Joan?
G.I. Joan.
Get my punk band's name out of Eddie Nash's mouth.
Save Will Smith for your segment.
And here's the creation of gangster rap.
So Darby, taking his weird brainwashing thing, started a cult around his fan base and had followers, fans, put cigarettes out on their arms, and that was called a germs bird.
I've heard of this.
Because if you've seen the logo for GI, it's a big blue circle. And he had this weird thing with just the round shape and circles and infinity.
And people did this.
People did this.
Wow. The power. The power.
The power. Darby burned out hard and eventually committed suicide by OD, something like 3 days before John Lennon was shot. So he was completely overshadowed. Pat Smear would later join Nirvana and would follow Dave Grohl to the Foo Fighters.
Okay.
Pat Smear's in both.
I didn't know there were women in the Foo Fighters. I didn't know
Pretty
that.
progressive up there.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah, Pat
so it's
Smear.
like a super group almost.
Kind of, yeah. The live Nirvana recording for Unplugged, Pat Smear's there.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is really cool that like...
But I remember a man being there.
Craig, a man? Okay. X.
Okay.
Who
here
I've
we
talked
go.
about several times on this podcast. I'll find any reason to talk about X.
It's interesting that the 2 kind of biggest bands that individual bands we're going to be covering in this episode both go by letters.
Okay. What's
X,
the other one?
NWA.
Oh, yeah. There's almost about something.
What does X stand for?
They formed in 1976. 4 members. My favorite thing about them is 4 members from different parts of the country with different attitudes. You know, Exine's from Tallahassee, John Doe's from Baltimore, Billy Zoom's from Illinois, lands in LA in his teen years. DJ Bonebreak, my favorite member, is from Burbank.
DJ Bonebreak from Burbank?
Yeah.
That's confusing.
All wildly different musical styles and influences just jammed together. It shouldn't work, but it does. Exene was a goth poet who loved the blues. John Doe was a lonesome cowboy who loved country. Billy Zoom was a guitar wizard who like excelled at surf and rockabilly, who wanted to be, I forgot who he said he wanted to be, but he wanted to be like he almost is like Brian Setzer, but like a drunk, horny version of that. And then DJ Bonebreak for Burbank, he brought in sounds, eclectic sounds. He liked Lionel Hampton, like Captain Beef. He just liked weird sounds. He was really into Captain Beefheart.
That's weird.
Like I said, it shouldn't have worked, but like these 4 sounds all just clashed together. And it's like the thing about
And
X,
they started the
and it
clash.
started the clash. It's like the melting pot nature of Los Angeles exists in X. Sometimes mean, sometimes heartfelt, but always smart, always measured out. John and Exene would double duty the vocals, and no one was doing it at the time. Well, maybe no LA band was doing it at that time, where a male and female singer, like Sonic Youth would do it later.
Yeah, Sonny and Cher.
Sonny and Cher.
The punk band, the original punks?
Come on, Sonny and Cher. Yola Tango does it perfectly. But X was like the punk band that was like male, female singer, and we sing over each other.
Like harmonize? Or
Like harmonizing,
as
yeah.
harmony as can
Yes.
happen in a punk song?
Band, yeah.
A duet.
I do what someone say. You can listen to all bands I've listed, and sometimes the sounds might blend. You might be like, "Oh, is this a Descendants song or a Black Flag?" Sometimes you get bands mixed up. You never get the X mixed up. Down to an opening riff, you could tell, like, "Oh, that's Billy Zoom. That's so good. It has to be Billy Zoom."
Which, of course, it's obligatory to mention. We're part of punk history. We saw them live,
see
at,
them
the,
live.
at that race, the Hollywood
Racetrack, RIP.
Yeah.
You won like $2, and
Yeah.
you're big dicking it around the whole day.
I won $2 betting on horses, and somehow I sprouted sprouted a seersucker suit and a straw hat.
Weird cane.
Since when did I own a bank?
I saw them also at the OC County Fair with my high school friends, and my friend John wanted to start a pit in like row J or something, row Q.
See, that was what was so. It was. What year was that? It was
when we saw them.
We saw them.
It must have been 2011, 2010,
something like that. No, maybe. It could have been.
I'm trying to remember at what point.
But yeah, another person who
shall not be mentioned.
But because Melissa was there too,
yeah, she was.
I remember. Yeah, so it was, and this is what 30 years out from like when they started, and there was a mosh pit. Like there was an
old dude mosh pit.
Yeah, like it was. They were still living that punk life.
Still doing it. To me, they are the band. All other punk bands have to compete against. That's just my personal thing. Their first show was in a living room at 601 South Van Ness Street, and of course, Darby Crash was there, as were other members of the Weirdos, Screamers. Brandon Mullen, who ran the mask, was there. Apparently, Todd Rundgren was there. KK Barrett of the Screamers.
I want Bang on the Drum all day was there.
KK Barrett of the Screamers filled in for drums, and someone started what is called a spaghetti fight. I imagine it's Darby Crash, where everyone's just throwing spaghetti at each other. Later, John Doe would steal my guy DJ Bonebreak. Did I tell you that I helped him up the stairs at Brand? That they had so that
he wouldn't break his bones.
There's like a swing band that came, and they're like, "Can you help the drummer? He's got like a lot of equipment coming up the stairs at Brand." And I walked down there, and it's DJ Bonebreak, who has the Bonebreak Syncopators, which is a great swing band, but that wasn't the band. But I was like, "Oh my god," who's just great, the Silly Boy. He would still DJ Bonebreak from the Eyes, and X would come into their own. John and Zine lived in a house on Van Ness Street. I don't know if it's 601, but they lived on a house on Van Ness Street, and they would practice in the garage out back. Their names, I think to this day, are still written on the sidewalk at the Van Ness house. Cool. Zine plus
we got to steal that John Wayne's Footprint style.
And they're still alive. We can get them to do it 1,000 more times.
For when we inevitably break it and Ricky gets mad at us.
Get the next song ready. One piece of fun X lore, LA punk lore, there was either an affair or a crush between Lorna Doom and John Doe, which produced one of their best songs, White Girl.
Sounds kind of Secret Agent Man-y.
A little bit, yeah. They're singing over or singing next to each other, interchanging. Blue and black with the Germs colors.
It's kind of spooky.
Yeah, Zine's really spooky.
She's a woman.
She's a woman.
Okay,
Confirmed woman.
Thank God. I need to know everyone's gender.
Exene hitched a ride to LA with her friend Faye, who would later go by Farrah Fawcett Minor. Farrah Fawcett Minor.
The stage names of punk people and rap people are so funny.
They're so funny. And also Fawcett is like a faucet, like a sink faucet, by the way. Farrah Fawcett Minor is the racist bigot that the song Los Angeles was written about.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
One night, X was set to play the whiskey, and Exene's sister Muriel and Farrah and Steve Naive from Alice Costello's band were en route to the show, driving on Willoughby, and they got into a wreck. And Steve was thrown from the car. Farrah broke a jaw, and Exene's sister snapped her spine in the accident and died.
God!
If you watch the
on
documentary,
Willoughby, that's like a small street.
It's a small street. It was sort of probably racing around. I don't know, but so if you watch the documentary On Her Music, which is all about X, great LA documentary, great X documentary. Exene points to, she's at the whiskey. They're going to perform that night, and she points to an air conditioner that still has pieces of broken glass on it from the night that John Doe punched through a window when he heard the news.
Wow.
So this is a song that she wrote for her sister, which is one of their best songs.
Come Back to Me, right?
Yeah, it's Come Back to Me. It's almost called Come Back to Me.
Wait, is it Fat Lip? Okay, now we're back in the 50s.
Yeah, which is X's appeal to me. Yeah. They're all over the place.
This is unlike anything I heard at the X concert. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, play the slow one.
This is nice.
It's very nice. It's about her dead sister. And she's a great writer. I think she's one of the best songwriters I've ever heard.
Have you heard
The Word?
Have you heard Mel Torme?
X is one of the bands still performing this day. We saw them. They had something that They were like honored by Dodger Stadium, like I think 5-10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So I think that every punk band eventually, on a long enough time scale, just becomes a generic rock band. This happens at every punk band. You can't sing scruff anymore. You get tired of playing hard, fast, and loud. So you either get tiresome and play the same things for 1,000 times like the Ramones, or you evolve. And the evolution isn't always graceful. X through the late...
I've noticed that with punk people in general.
Yeah.
The evolution of aging is not always graceful.
It's not always graceful. And then they love to say stuff like, it wasn't like back in the day when I used to go to punk shows. Yeah, you're a dad in the suburbs now. I went to punk shows in high school that were like in South Central, in backyards. Punk is still alive. You're just an old suburb dude now. So shut up.
You're a rich 60-year-old man and you're skateboarding.
Yeah, you're writing a piece for Spin Magazine right now. Yeah, punk's not... Yeah, you're not going to punk shows. So every band evolves. X is one of my favorite. They have a period where they're just a generic rock band and they're kind of not great. But they have a side project called The Knitters, which is X swapped Billy Zoom for David Alvin from the Blasters, who I wish I could talk about. Can you play the next song?
Okay, so this one's Fat Lip, right?
Yeah, it's Fat Lip. The Knitters are just like country bluegrass. This is X.
That's weird. But they invite Bob Dylan into... Is this the Traveling Wilburys?
Turn the lights down low.
That's
I'll be
weird.
ready
It's great.
to go to bed all alone once again. My plane from the city was late, and there weren't anyone there to meet my flight coming in.
It's weird. Weird.
But I'm not waiting for you to come home, 'cause I know that we never...
The evolution of X, their talent, their influences are so good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It's great. I love... It all should be mentioned that I think 2 or 3 of their records were produced by Ray Manzarek of The Doors, who was a huge fan of theirs. I think he did Los Angeles. I don't know if he did Wild Gift, and he did Under the Big Black Sun, which is their album. The 3 Under the Big Black Sun is such a good album.
He's their Dr. Dre.
He's their Dr. Dre.
Dr. Ray.
Also, Ray Manzarek sounds insufferable, but whatever. Okay, so now I'm rushing through some of these. We'll just power through the last of these bands. Alice Bag sees the germs of the
Power pop through the last of these bands.
God damn it! Fact. Alice Bag sees the germs of the Orpheum and thinks I could do better, and she does. Alice was born in 1958 in East LA, hometown hero. There's a whole East LA punk scene that I don't even touch on that I keep I should have read about that. But it features bands like The Brat and Los Lobos, who my parents stitched me on New Year's to go see. New Year's the year 2000, 1999 to 2000.
They left you when Y2K could have happened?
Exactly. Me and Mikey were left alone when Y2K had because they went to downtown to see Los Lobos.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Unbelievable, Mom.
Your VCR could have strangled you to death while your mom was listening to them play La Bamba.
0, 1.
Fact.
That's
it, laughing as it killed you.
Yeah, I'll never let her forget that. She went to go see Los Lobos and didn't even offer to take me. I would have liked to see Los Lobos. I like Los Lobos. I like Los Lobos' version of La Bamba from the movie La Bamba.
From the hit movie La Bamba, starring La Bamba.
Bands like The Adolescents, OC's The Adolescents, a great punk band, which I don't have a song for. They couldn't get booked at places like Starwood because they would bring that OC crowd with them, and they were they were really violent crowds, so they couldn't get places. So they would have to play venues in East LA, and they're like, dude, there's some gangbangers. Like they were said, it almost made them tougher because they had to play in gang areas. So okay, we're gonna play this hard rock, and then we're gonna get out of here. One of those spaces the punk bands would play was Self Help Graphics, which is still operating today, a big community space in East LA.
How do I know that name?
We talked about it, I think, in our art episode when I was talking about Willie Heron and that whole thing he was part of.
I don't know who that is. We have a what cast?
We had a
park cast?
Park cast?
That's what we should have called it when we were recording in the park.
That's really funny.
Fact.
Anyways, Alice Bag was stalking Elton John outside of the studio where Cher would film her TV show when she met Patricia Morrison, and the two would become fast friends.
I'm stalking Sonny. You're stalking Elton.
They became, and music was their bonding agent. They thankfully taped an audition for Kim Fowley, who was the gross dude who started the Runaways, looking to start a new all girl group. I bet. Well, I wonder why. But the two caught that legendary germ show at the Orpheum and thought, we can do better. we can do better. We just need to do.
Ask not what a chord can do for you. Ask what chords you can play, and there's 3
two
of
other
them.
chords, yeah. So they put out an ad in the Recycler and found band members, rhythm guitarist Giza X and drummer Joe Nanini responded, and they were looking for a gimmick to start. Every punk band has a gimmick, so they decided to play with paper bags over their heads, and hence the Bags were born. They played their first show in September 1977 at the Mask, where Darby Crash went up and debagged Alice, which was pretty rude. But I feel like the bag thing ended.
D-bag move.
A D-bag move. Yeah, a total D-bag move.
That's mean. Why would you do that?
Darby Crash is an a-hole. He's no fun. So the bag over the head thing didn't last very long, but neither did their recycler hires. Craig Lee.
Did everyone react like Phantom of the Opera when they took the bag off?
Yeah. They responded like when a luchador gets masked and she couldn't be in a band anymore. They traded out 2 members. Craig Lee and Johnny Nation took over guitar and drums. They played a historically chaotic show at the Troubadour, and either later that night or before, I read both, but I think it's okay. I think the chronology is, I think they go to Cantor's first and get into a fight with Tom Waits. And then
Been there
because he was trying to pick up the girls, but the girls were hitting on these other guys. And then they go from Cantor's to the Troubadour to do their show. And one of the girls, I think Alice was dating Nikki B to the Weirdos. And outside of the Troubadour, where they were performing, the fight continues between Nikki B and Tom Waits, which was, they said, was just like a soft-handed lame-o boy fight. But all the punks inside went onto the street to watch the fight, and the staff, who did not want them inside, started locking them out. So the punks were trying to get in, like Night of the Living Dead, and the place just got trashed. And the next day, the entire staff of the Troubadour threatened to quit if punk rock wasn't banned from the Troubadour.
Hey,
that's
how cool.
How very cool. In 1979, Danger House Records released their first single, Survive, which I bought this based on the cover of the 45, which is her face looking up in the bags. And I had remember reading about the bags. I'm like, oh, I found a 45 at Chaos Records in West Covina.
So I'm looking for Fat Lip here, right?
Mm-hmm, look for Fat Lip. You're going to get a freaking Fat Lip. Keep bringing it up.
This the 50s again?
Yeah, they're a doo-wop band.
Is this a show tune?
Mm-hmm. Have you seen Cabaret?
Spooky. This is really Broadway-esque.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I can see that. Motor Hat, Kane.
Who put the blame on me? Here we go.
There it is.
Is that English?
No. I think she's just pronouncing every word well.
That was weird. It sounded like she was speaking like Aramaic or something.
She has a song. The Bags have a song called "We Don't Need the English," which is also a very good song. By the time they made it into Penelope Spheeris's big LA punk documentary, "Decline of Western Civilization," which is a lot of these bands in their gross glory, the band was all but broken up. The band is the Bags, but in her documentary, it's called the Alice Bag Band because she wasn't sure who had the rights to the name of the band anymore. By 1981, Patricia had moved on to another band and she would eventually join the Damned, where she married the lead singer Dave Vanian. Alice Bag continued performing music, was also like a substitute teacher, went back to school, continues to this day to release great music. She has a song called Modern Day Virgin Sacrifice, which I should have added in our playlist, but I didn't, which go and listen to that song. It's really good.
I can play Fat Lip if you want.
Please never play it again. But about a month ago, she and Kid Congo from the Cramps got together with the Bob Baker Maynard Theater and performed at the Ford Theater, which I really wanted to go to, but I was
The
working.
outdoor Ford Theater?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never been.
Me neither. And that would have been my first time there to see Alice Bag and Kid Congo and the Puppets, but I did not go. And I wish I had. I'm racing through all these bands now, but they deserve so much more attention. But it'd be insane if I didn't mention these last 3. First, Hermosa Beach produced one of the best hardcore bands of all time. They produce a lot. The Beach Area. This one is led by Greg Ginn, maybe the only stable member of this band, Black Flag, who ran through their history, their history has like 5 or 6 singers, which includes
County.
Hermosa Beach is not Orange County.
Hermosa Beach is Orange County.
Isn't it like just the cutoff line?
Is it Hermosa Beach Orange County?
I thought it was
Gotta look
LA
it up.
County.
I'm pretty sure Hermosa Beach is Orange County.
I think Manhattan Beach is Orange.
No, Hermosa Beach is way south. Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach is very much LA County. Huntington Beach is LA County. Hermosa Beach is a city in Los Angeles County.
Fact.
Huntington Beach is the Orange County one. I get it, Melissa. It drives Melissa crazy because she's from down there that I can never remember. I always get Huntington Beach and Hermosa Beach mixed up.
She's from Lawndale, but whenever I see Linwood, I'm like, oh, Melissa's from there.
Her and Weird Al.
Her and Weird Al.
From Word Al.
Yeah, Weird Al. Black Flag has
She's going to literally rip my teeth out for the mistake I just made.
I know a dentist you can go to. Black Flag has like 135 members through their history. They had like 5 singers, which include Keith Morris of the Circle Jerks, Des Cadena, Ron Reyes, Henry Rollins, and then skater Mike Vallely. I never know his name. Black Flag is fast and loud and hard, and the audience was not weirdo art school acid freaks, but crazed up angry young men with insane pent up aggression. I don't know if Black Flag shows invented the slam pit, but they certainly were the first ones to do it. Greg Ginn's brother was an artist, Raymond Pettibon, and he would draw all the flyers and most of the punk album art for Black Flag, among other bands. He would also do the art for like the Minutemen. His art is like one of the most defining looks of the LA punk scene, along with like Gary Panter. The band releases Nervous Breakdown as their first single, but the album Damaged, with lead vocals by Henry Rollins, is really their standout work. Could you please play the next song, which is a Black Flag song called Thirsty and Miserable?
Fat Lip. Yeah, this is the fuzziest.
Mm-hmm.
This is the fuzziest band.
Yeah, the Fuzzies.
Henry Rollins seems like a humorless man.
Yeah, he seems like he can't chill. Chronically unchill. Good singer, though. A lot of the Hollywood punks looked down on this new hardcore beach scene because their angry young men would spit at the band, thanks to the Sex Pistols shows, and had violent, frenzied slam pits in front of the bands performing. And there was no denying that this scene was also punk. It was not poetic. There was nothing to think about. The chaos had been bottled up and shook. It was just aggression and energy. That's what like hardcore is. The band cycled through, like I said, 3,000 members, but the true star of the band is Greg Ginn's wild guitar sound, easily recognizable. You know a Black Flag song from that guitar sound.
Yeah, Mr. Fuzzy.
Mr. Fuzzy. That's like the one thing, they trade singers, they trade drummers, but Greg Ginn's guitar remains constant. They burn out and get to acid jazz, freeform rock stuff, and they still tour in some iteration. Keith Morris, one of the founding members of Black Flag, went on to lead the Circle Jerks, another like LA band, and then he started like this band Off! In later from 2012. Yeah.
We went to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I believe Off was the opening act.
That's a pretty good opening act.
I think.
Dude with dreads?
I think. This was at Staples Center a long time ago.
Okay. I could see.
Melissa's going to rip my teeth out.
She's
going to
rip your teeth out. She's going to stomp on you. She'll have them, and then you're on the way to the dentist and put them back in, and she stomps on them.
Her car's going to pull up beside mine. She's going to grab my Tupperware of teeth.
Keith Morris is one of those people you'd see riding around LA on his bike with his long dreads and his like biker shorts, and he'd be like, "Oh, that's one of the founder of Black Flag right there," and he'd be like, "Hey, man,
this sounds like the guy from Valley Relics."
From San Pedro is the excellent, weird, punk in spirit and sometimes sound the Minutemen, with best friends D. Boone and Mike Watt, and then drummer George Hurley. Before Hurley came along there, they called it the Georgeless years, which is funny. They were latecomers to the scene. They had been going to shows for years. They had to come all the way from San Pedro to watch the Hollywood bands, and they only later started their own band. They're latecomers. They had punk ethos in their bones and brought a literary beatnik quality to the scene that no one else dared to do. D. Boone and Mike Watt met when they were 13, and the two shared a deep love of music. Through many false starts in 1980, and they would meet George Hurley and form the Minutemen. Their opening show was for Black Flag, and some of their songs are punk. They sound like punk songs. If you could play the song Fascist for me, please.
Okay, type in fat. Starts with F-A.
Yeah, T. P-H-A-T.
This is jazzy.
Yeah, he's very good at bass.
Don't feature structure a society.
Very much wants you to hear lyrics.
What lyrics?
He wants you to hear lyrics. He's speaking.
It's a short song.
Yeah.
I can't follow a man on a white horse. Dreams of control, they all look to course.
But Mike Watt loved the bass so much, and he was so good at it. And D. Boone was all about protest rock, and the boys loved poetry. So the music reflected that. It's sometimes off rhythm. Some of the songs are like not melodic or harmonic at all. They're just like, one song is a note their landlord left set to music. It's a really good song. Take 5, D. No one else is like the Minutemen. Their enthusiasm is so evident, and their landmark album drops in 1984, Double Nickels on the Dime, a double album that has 45 songs on it.
Well, I mean, this song I think was a minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's something like that. Angry Someones have a 30-second song. Charles Bronson has like 12-minute songs or 12-second songs. Angry Someones have 30-second songs. This is a hack favorite since it's so well known, but damn it, I really love the sincerity of the autobiography in the song History Lesson Part 2.
Okay.
And this is like, they're just all
Mel
over the
Brooks
place.
wrote this, right?
Uh-huh, yeah.
Do I know this song?
I don't know.
I don't know if I know this.
You should. It's good.
Sounds kind of reminds me of the Wonder Years.
Our band could be your life. Real names be proved. Me and Mike Watt, we played for years. Punk rock changed our lives.
It's a history lesson of themselves.
Yeah, it's their theme. It's their autobiography. It's a really beautiful song.
This is definitely from the Wonder Years.
We learned punk rock in Hollywood.
They have a public access segment where it's the three of them on the ground. George Hurley's playing the bongos. They're playing acoustic guitar. And it's just so beatniky, and I love it. I love the crossover between beatnik stuff like Exene's poetry and the Minutemen when beatnik stuff, poetry meets like punk. It's such a cool crossover for me. D. Boone died in a car accident the following year, 1985, and Mike Watt was so heartbroken that he didn't want to continue the band without his best friend. He's played through several bands since then. He's also like done bass for the reunion of the Stooges, and is seen as one of the greatest bass players of all time. If you want to check out their documentary, We Jam Econo, fantastic documentary on the Minutemen. It's free on YouTube right now.
You know what else is free on YouTube right now?
Right. Oh, don't do this. Don't do this. We have one more band, my guy. My guy, we have one more band.
Anytime you want, you can hear Fat Lip on it.
And one's stopping us.
This is a commercial for YouTube. And this was the original pitch. Any time of the day, any day of the year, you can listen to Fat Lip for free.
Yeah, for free, Greg. Museums will cost you to see a culture. YouTube won't. You can listen to Fat Lip. But of course, all of this leads...
I saw what the next song is, and I'm excited.
All of this leads to... I wanted to surprise you, yeah. Of course, all this leads to the one band, the one that broke, the one that got radio play, the one band unlike any other in the scene, the Marilyn Munster of the punk scene. They were an all-girl group.
Hey, Eddie's hot.
They were an all-girl band, bouncy and fun, much loved in the punk scene for a while, which they had been immersed in the whole time. Kathy Valentine, Gina Shock, Little Jane Weedlin, Charlotte Caffey, for a while, Margaret Oliveira, and Belinda Carlisle, the Go-Go's.
We saw them at the Hollywood Bowl.
You did?
Yeah.
One of your songs at your wedding was a Go-Go song.
Which one? I'm sure. Which one? Our Lips Are Sealed?
Yeah, Our Lips Are Sealed. What was it? I don't remember. I had to ask you afterwards, like, what song is this? And you told me.
We had a good playlist.
You had a
Hey,
good
you want Greg's going to put together a playlist for this for $15 a month. You'll have access to my wedding playlist, and I will have a first dance with
It was
you.
mostly the Doodah Band. The Go-Go's formed thanks to original bassist Margaret Olivaria, who moved into John Exene's place at Van Ness when the two had left. She returned from London, witnessing firsthand the punk scene there, and came to LA wanting to start a band of her own. Attending Valley College, through a friend, she met a scene star who was also looking to start a band. Valley College. She met through a friend, met a girl, Jane Weedlin, who was also going by Jane Drano, another punk scenester. She was getting guitar lessons from Billy Zoom of X, who's a good person to get lessons from, but she was having an affair with him. Already on the scene was Belinda Carlisle, aka Dottie Danger. She had left the Germs because she had mono, but now was looking for a new
Greg,
band.
You know what they were looking for? They had,
What?
Greg, you know
what they had? Polio.
They had mono, but this is really funny because it's a music related joke. They had malaria.
Punk can't say stagnant or get malaria. Johnny Malaria.
Molly Malaria.
Molly Malaria, yeah. Already on the scene, like I said, with Dottie Danger. Now that wasn't a concern, she was looking for a band, her mono. Margaret knew Belinda, and one night at the Starwood, she suggested
By the seashore.
So yeah, that Belinda saved for the group. Then came after that the actual musician of the group, Charlotte Caffey, who's born in LA and whose very first concert was the Beatles at Dodger Stadium.
Wow.
She was set to play classical music, studying piano in college, but one fateful night at the Whiskey caught the Runaways and thought, just like Alice Begg saw the Germs, she saw the Runaways, thought, I can do better. And she did different. They would go on, they would add Gina Shock, and they would play their first show under the name The Misfits, not that one, but changed it soon based on Jane's suggestions, The Go-Go's, which would be a Jane suggestion. I love Jane Whelan. Margot was hoping to create an edgy, cool sound, but very quickly the band was leaning towards fun, melodic pop sound. Margaret wanted the band to sound like X, so the Germs, but the girls they knew that to push forward, they wanted to have a sound radically different than the bands at the Mask, and to do that, they would end up playing pop songs. What's the difference of edgy? Fun. Oh, we accidentally became a pop band. The girls wanted to be famous. They said that Belinda said, I want to be rich and famous. And they knew that to do that, they had to outgrow the small LA clubs that they loved. They did love these clubs. They did love the scene, but they wanted to be more than that. This isn't to say they were goody two-shoes. Many of the members fell into hard drugs and excessive partying. There was like an infamous video at the height of their fame of them like doing coke at a kitchen that almost ruined the Go-Go's, but they were like, we're just too good to ruin. We're too good to ruin. And they were still...
We were above the law.
Yeah, they were still, after all that, still part of the punk scene. They would meet at the Denny's on Sunset Boulevard and hang out as continue moving through the LA punk scene.
They could do better.
They could do better.
Did they know about Crave Cafe?
Come on. They recorded a 5-song demo in 1979, but the following year, thanks to I don't forget who was dating who, they're asked to go to England and tour with the two ska bands, The Specials, who I love, and Madness. One Step Beyond. The lead singer of The Specials and Jane Whelan, Terry Hall of The Specials and Jane Whelan had an affair. And that's where the song Our Lips Are Sealed comes from. And later...
That's why we had it at the wedding.
That's why they had it at the wedding. That's why Terry Hall was at the wedding. And later, lead singer Terry Hall, who the song's written about, would start a new band, the Fun Boy 3, and he would cover Our Lips Are Sealed because it was written about him, if you would play.
Oh, I would. I won't even joke about Fat Lip on this one because it's a
too
song
good.
I know.
This is such a good song. Yeah. I want to not like it, but it's so good.
Punk has gone commercial. Wow.
Punk has gone commercial.
There's a black flag sticker on a Cadillac now.
Can you hear them? They talk about us, telling lies. Well, that was the price. Can you see them?
It's so musically good.
Yeah.
The interstitial do-do-do guitar.
I'm not even going to let people hear the chorus.
Yeah.
Here it is.
That's how much he liked them. He went back in after a fade in.
But you know why their lips are sealed?
Why?
They got a fat lip.
While they were touring and gaining a following overseas, their demo for We Got the Beat got released and became a minor hit. Would you now play
Okay.
We Got the Beat?
Okay. Another song I like.
Very good song. They have a lot of actually good songs.
Actually,
They have a lot of good songs.
the Go-Go's, the ones where I saw at the Hollywood Bowl, actually, they have good songs. It's also very beachy.
Yeah, it's very beachy.
There's a beachiness to this. We Got the Beach is what this
Got the
called.
But there's like a punk element to it. The speed of it, the bass intro.
that right there.
Yeah. They have a surf song called Surfing and Spying, which is an instrumental, but it's like, God, these girls really love like surf music.
They also sound like they're 6 years old.
They do sound like they're 6-year-old. And like, if you think about the trajectory of the Runaways, you know, a teenage girl band playing hard rock and being like pretty much tormented by their manager. And then you look at the Go-Go's and the progression of like, here's how it's done right. And here's like, this is like the cutesy version of what the Runaways had started. When they returned to LA, the Go-Go's, when they returned to LA, the entire scene had changed. They weren't even gone that long. But in that period, hardcore had seeped into the Hollywood scene. And the Go-Go's did not feel welcome anymore. They were being spit at. Nobody liked them anymore. They started getting more attention, touring with big bands like The Police. And finally, in 1981, they released their first album, the big one, Beauty and the Beat, through IRS Records.
They can't get enough of the beat
Yeah,
puns.
they love it. Yeah. The album featured We Got the Beat and Our Lips Are Sealed, 2 hit singles. The album reached #1 in March of 1982, selling 2 million records. It's said that this is one of the most important records of the new wave era. If you don't know what new wave is, for the uninitiated, they couldn't sell punk records to radio stations calling it punk because everything the Sex Pistols did. So to put punk on the radio, they gave it a new name. They called it New Wave to try to sneak it. This is alternative rock before ultra rock. But, you know, so like punk bands, I consider Devo to be punk, but when they play Whip It on the radio, they have to call it New Wave. I think you could call We Got the Beat punk, but if you want to play on the radio, it has to be New Wave. So in the minds
Put a suit on and then we'll play.
Exactly. Put a little short tie on the neck, you could play My Sharona. But to punk bands who hated the idea of selling out, they had such a resentment for new wave bands. that were willing to water down that sound to get on the radio. The band, who were anything but a cutesy pop group, were presenting themselves as such, continued performing and releasing albums until they broke up in 1985. They would go on to do solo projects through the years. Jane Wiedlin released some records, got really famous, but she also acted. She's the murdered telegram girl in Clue. She's also Joan of Arc in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That's Jane Wiedlin. Belinda Carlisle had her own solo career. Whoa. The band would reunite through the years, and it really showcases how big a little punk band from the Mask could make it. They were a punk band from the Mask, and now they're touring the Hollywood Bowl.
They're touring the Hollywood Bowl 7 years ago.
Alice Bag is still performing, with puppets at the Ford Theater across the street. Like these bands are still, like the members are still around. Pat Smear is touring with Foo Fighters, is on one of the biggest live shows ever recorded, which is Nirvana Unplugged. Henry Rollins is still.
What was that, like last year?
Yeah, when was Nirvana? That's another thing I forgot to bring up when talking about Black Flag. Kurt Cobain's first punk show, thanks to the singer from the Melvins, took him to his first punk show. It was Black Flag touring Seattle. That was when he realized, I want to be punk too. He got arrested that night too. I love punk. Before crime novels made me interested in LA history, I would read these books about LA punk scene and try to track down the houses and the old venues, looking for pieces of the past I could connect to. I had weird history with, being at KK Barrett's house, and I swear Billy Zoom was there one day, got mad at me for running around. Whenever I go to the Troubadour or Palladium or the Roxy, I would tell people all the stories I knew about the bands getting wrecked there. I just hope listeners find a song that you like in all this. And I couldn't even, like, this is
the last two.
The last two, sure. This is by far not a complete list by inch. This is just Punk 101. I didn't even bring up, like, the Blasters, who are a great, like, rockabilly band. It was punk adjacent. Suicidal Tendencies, which is like a metal punk band from Venice Beach. I didn't bring up Devo's effect on the LA punk scene. Like a truck full of jocks would see a boy with a leather jacket and blue hair, and the last thing you heard before he got beat up was Devo, because they would scream Devo at you because Devo was on Saturday Night Live, and they would come and they beat you up. All that. There are so many great bands and stories and old haunts I left out. So if you like this, please look into it. Please read all the Alice Bag, Darby Crash's oral history. Read We Got the Neutral Bomb. We got, what's the other one? I think it's called We Got the Beat or Flashbang Beat or something. But there's so many great bunks about LA punk. And I love this stuff.
I mean, you say that you don't have time to talk about it. We're only 2 hours into the episode.
Shut up.
I think this might break the record as the longest podcast ever.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah. Eat your heart out.
Blank check.
Yeah, blank check. And your 4-hour episode about Fargo. So good.
So now for the second story in this episode. What's your prediction on the length of this episode? We're at about 2 hours right now.
I'm going to say 3.5 hours.
You mean I could have either listened to this or watched the extended cut of the Two Towers? And I'm not talking about Lord of the Rings. So let's get into the second musical genre we are going to be talking about. And you know what? The Fat Lip song is retired.
Let's see.
No more.
Let me pull up my own. Where's mine?
Let me pull my auxiliary cord.
Yeah.
Plug my auxiliary cord.
Oh, I'll get ready. Don't worry. Go ahead, talk. I'm listening, brother.
So, Greg, drop me a beat.
Oh, no. We got a beat.
You had the beat. I don't have it
I don't
anymore,
have it.
though.
I dropped it.
Well, my name is Daniel, and I'm here to say...
no, don't do this. Oh, no, don't do this.
I can't rap.
I can't rap.
I cannot. I shall not. I choose not to rap.
I shall not rap.
So this is a big and sprawling topic, and I am literally the least qualified person any of you listening know to be giving a history on it, but I pour it over the archives in the temple of hip hop, and I think it all makes sense to me now. Police equals bad? I think I get it.
But Aux Cable doesn't rhyme with anything.
It rhymes with orange. So to start, I know I'm going to mispronounce some of the rap names, and I'm also not going to go into the roots of rap music as a genre overall.
Okay.
But suffice it to say that rap music is widely recognized to have started in 1979 in the South Bronx with Rapper's Delight from the Sugar Hill Gang. Do you have it queued up, Greg?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah, let me hear what the Rapper's Delight. This is the Fat Lip of rap music, isn't it?
That's an insult because I actually like Rapper's Delight, even though it's kind of silly. I think
that's not rap. Hey, you are not playing Rapper's Delight, my friend.
Oh, I know that.
I'm saying what you're playing is the Fat Lip of rap music.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
But so I like my musical choices are just to sort of show you how the sound kept evolving. So this is a snippet of Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang.
Never unwelcome, this intro. Always welcome in my heart.
You may know it from the rapping granny from The Wedding Singer.
I said the hip hop, the hip it to the hip hop, you don't stop the rocker to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to beat. Now what you hear is not a test.
So it's kind of silly.
Yeah,
like
it's silly.
Like it.
There's when Donald Glover did stand up briefly, he had a joke about like early rap and has like, I bought shoes today. Like it's just kind of silly.
Yeah. And that's part of the evolution, but like it really had very simple kind of silly roots. But what I really have grown to appreciate more in doing this research and my experience with rap, like I listened to some of it growing up, but like I didn't get that deep into it,
right?
Which is weird. I think it's because I don't usually listen to lyrics of songs. I'm listening to the music, and I think it's weird that it's almost right up my alley. Like I was saying, like the references they're making are all like, and then Lucy and Ethel came here. Like it's all like references I would get to pop culture that I've consumed, and like hyper specific LA references, and like it's right up my alley, and sampling of like 60 songs that I
soul
love.
songs. And then like sometimes you just can't escape a beat. Like you just fall into rhythm with it. You're like, I think my body's moving in some way.
I was doing the rapping granny dance as I was playing.
Do you talk about disco at all?
Disco comes up a little bit because it does have roots in. We are going to listen to all of ABBA's greatest hits. Is that what you mean by coming up?
Yeah. Is that great? SOS.
But while rap may be the music, the culture surrounding it is known as hip hop.
Yes.
This is what I've read. I want to know, like, why is it so interchangeable? And it is. But like rap is kind of the music, hip hop is the culture around it. That includes the fashion, the slang, the graffiti, the dancing that went along with it. And the roots of that dancing can actually be traced to a sleepy Pueblo town known as Los Angeles. This is going to blow this. No, Greg.
Okay.
I have installed seatbelts into your chair for moments like this, because buckle up. In 1969, a man named Don Campbell was a student at, now fasten those seatbelts, Trade Tech.
Wow, really?
He was a student at Trade Tech. There was a dance.
Go Beavers.
There was a dance. Go Bucky Beavers.
Go Bucky Beavers.
There was a dance at Trade Tech that was going to happen in the cafeteria, but Campbell didn't know how to dance. So he decided to do what he kind of knew about a couple novelty dances, the robot and the funky chicken.
Okay.
What he ended up doing was this kind of jerky movement where his joints would pop and lock. And they called it Campbell lock because he was Don Campbell at first, but we know it today as locking.
Yeah.
So it started in the cafeteria of Trade Tech at a dance they were having, and it was such a hit that he started entering dance contests. And then in 1971, the show Soul Train moved to Los Angeles and started filming, which recruited a lot of local black dancers to be on the show, including Don Campbell, who started Campbell locking in front of a national audience, which spread the style across the country, where it was reworked and reinterpreted by others to come out the other side as breakdancing. So it started a Trade Tech.
Electric Boogaloo. That's fascinating. Also, 1969 is Manson year too. So 1969 was, it took like 8 years to cook, but like, yeah.
Well, he was doing it around town. It went on Soul Train 2 years later. But as the Manson family was chopping people up on Cielo Drive, meanwhile, in the Trade Tech cafeteria, I said, so we had the dancing, and now what about that music? The influences that created the signature sound of LA rap were different than those in New York.
Yes.
But especially in these early days of the genre, it was drawing from a much more laid back sound than on the East Coast. Around this time, the late 70s, in LA, there were two big black music scenes, jazz and funk.
Right.
Those were the two.
Funk. I forgot about funk.
Never forget the funk. Right? This, of course, was true also in New York, but in LA, you really had an epicenter at this time because this is where all the record labels were. So we had a pretty thriving jazz and funk scene, especially funk. LA is essentially where funk went to die. Motown moved here in 1972, and then you had Casablanca Records, and like I said, Soul Train moved here around the time. So by the late 70s, the music in dance clubs had shifted from disco to funk.
Right.
Especially for the black crowd who saw it more as their music than disco was, which it was. But like disco was still there. Like people were listening to disco and they were listening to funk.
But it seems like it hijacked by ABBA and Bee Gees. and
Yeah,
Casey and the
that-
Sunshine
it's-
Band. So they're like, okay, never mind. We're doing funk now.
Yeah, disco became pretty white, but funk was kind of always a black music. One such club was called Eve After Dark
Whoa.
on South Avalon in Compton. And the man who started it was Alonzo Williams, who many refer to as the godfather of West Coast hip hop.
That sounds familiar.
You probably know him from his work that I'm about to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
This club was Fat Lip. This club was an influential place for black people in Compton to hear and also perform new music. But Williams himself had an even bigger impact than just starting this club. He himself was a DJ who originally worked in disco, and he called himself Disco Lonzo. That's probably what you know him from.
Yeah. Disco Lonzo, Grego Gonzo.
Yeah. You're in the rhyme club.
Yeah.
But he started experimenting with the new sound of mixing the records he was playing. He was also a member of one of what were basically mobile party brigades that would go around in that time. But the one he started with his friend Roger Clayton was the biggest and most successful, and they were called Uncle Jam's Army.
Okay.
You know Uncle Jam's Army?
No, I don't.
They I know their name, them and the next thing, the spinoff of it. Like, I've heard it in songs.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a big deal, but like, basically they were just like rent-a-party things. Like, they
Like
had
an In-N-Out truck?
it was like a video game truck that you can go in and play Mario Kart. They had 12 speakers, 4 turntables, costumes, fog machines.
Whoa.
You would
It's an actual party.
you just hire them to show up to your event and they would entertain people.
That's pretty cool.
They were a mobile DJ unit, but they weren't just a mere 2 men. Different DJs would come and go from these units, but the main core of Uncle Jam's Army were Williams and Clayton, Egyptian Lover, who was a big deal, Bobcat, Gid and Tony Martin, Les Sounds, and my favorite DJ name of the entire episode, Dr. Funkenstein or Dr. Funkenstein, depending on what part of Germany you're DJing in.
It's Dr. Funkenstein's Monster, please.
It's Dr. Funkenstein's beat. So they kind of caught on to something that other DJs at the time were doing, which was that funk music was repetitive.
Yeah.
So it was kind of the same beat over and over and over and over and over. This meant you could isolate one section of it and keep repeating it over and over without it sounding jarring. Adding to that, you have the rise of drum machines, and now you've got a backing track, which you could then perform the new style of rapping over, and suddenly you have a brand new song that's sampling from something else. But like I said, with the funk influences here, the songs they were coming up with had a more laid-back sound than on the East Coast. That was one of the first bridges from funk to rap. So here is a sample of what Uncle Jam's Army sounded like. It's just like March. It's the boots thing from 28 years later. Or from the guy who wrote it.
Or Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
So this is Dial a Freak by Uncle Jam's Army.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a term for this sound that's coming up that the next group kind of solidified, but it's a distinct sound.
Yeah. So many sounds.
I'll start fading it out before the erotic noises start.
No.
On my mind, I don't know what to do. Shall I sit here or shall I call up a freak to drive me up the wall?
Oh, okay.
I ignore that last sound you heard.
It's like a stretching sound, right?
Yeah.
That's great.
So that's kind of the sounds that they were creating in this mobile DJ unit. And it became a big hit locally. Like people, this was different. This was very different and people liked it. They started playing shows where they were the main event at places like, it wasn't just like, you know, here's
bar
Danny's
mitzvah.
bar mitzvah and then Dial a Freak up next. So
We're going to need a lady in the audience to come do the freaky noises.
at my bar mitzvah, they did show up and I was reading my Haftorah section over samples from James Brown. So it was a whole new sound. It was J-Punk. It was J-Funked. I'll let you guess what the J stands for. So they started playing shows where they were the main event at places like the Pasadena Civic Center, the Biltmore, the Convention Center, and the Hollywood Palladium.
Oh, awesome.
And the crowds would be packed full of people eager to see them.
Yeah.
They became so big that they started dictating what the sound of popular black music was in LA.
Cool.
They were trendsetters and they were making good money now, or I should say Clayton was making good money now.
no.
He was not great about sharing the money, especially with co-founder Alonzo Williams. So Williams defected from Uncle Jam's Army. Dishonorable discharge, Greg, to start his own group, Disco Construction, whose main members were Williams himself, Marquette Hawkins, aka Clientele.
That's pretty cool.
And then the other two were Antoine Carabee and Andre Young, aka DJ Yella and Dr. Dre.
Really?
I know those things. Oh my God. I know a doctor.
Is there a doctor in the house? Kinda.
Kinda, but I won't. Historically, I won't heal you. I will harm you. They soon renamed themselves the World Class Wrecking Crew.
Okay.
You know this.
Yes.
This is the one I have heard mentioned in songs. Their style was a little different from Uncle Jam's Army, but still drew from those same influences. It became known as a new, distinctly LA style known as electro funk.
Electro funk.
So
I
that's-
am aware of electro funk.
So now we're going to listen to a little bit of the World Class Wrecking Crew, and keep in mind that electro funk label.
Okay.
We call him Yella, he is the best. He rocks the house on the DMX. When he's on the beatbox, he cannot miss. So listen to the beat as he rocks like this.
It's almost like Kraftwerky, like
It is
it's got this
Kraftwerky.
like industrial kind of electro thing.
Yeah.
And it's funky.
It's funky. Yeah, I remember hearing hip hop people say how into Kraftwerk they were, which I think is really cool.
It makes sense now.
Yeah, it makes sense. I love that era of hip hop where it was two guys singing and singing.
Here's what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna say it now.
Like Run DMC is really good at that. Beastie Boys kind of haven't left that, but yeah.
So it wasn't quite there yet, but they were considered to be the West Coast's first hip hop group.
Okay.
The World Class Wrecking Crew.
Crazy that it's Dr. Dre and his career.
And DJ Yella.
And DJ Yella, yeah, whose career continues.
Yeah, whose violence against women continues. They were also the first hip hop group to be signed by a major label in 1983. But meanwhile, there was another style growing parallel to this in LA, and this was fueled by the very specific political climate of the city. It, of course, goes back much further than this. When did black people first come to this country? It started there. That's where it started. But for the sake of this story, it starts with the Watts Uprising in 1965.
Right.
A few months after that whole ordeal, which again, go back and listen to that episode. There was a local radio broadcast called the uncensored version of the Los Angeles riots. It was put on by the Afro-American Association and promised, you're going to hear an analysis of Los Angeles that you won't hear on the news. What followed was different black citizens of Watts who had lived through the events of the uprising in 1965 talking about it, but underneath them was a musical beat.
Wow, really?
So this is what that sounded like. And it was like this, and this is that.
It goes a little something like this.
So it's not music, but it is here. This is what it was like. I could dance to this.
Yeah.
I could have a bar mitzvah to this. This is a pretty good song, though. Just on its own, it's a pretty good song.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Attorney Donald Warden bringing you another in a series
It's literally
of
just
radio
like a news
broadcasts
broadcast, but
entitled
over
The
this beat.
Okay.
Which was
Afro-American
interesting.
Association presents We Care Enough to Tell It Just Like It Is.
It's literally just
As
like
you can
45
probably
minutes
hear,
of
I'm
this.
taking off my coat.
I'm sure the
I'm rolling
first
up my
20
sleeves.
seconds was
This
like
is not
title
my
cards. I'm like, why are they like
On a radio
on a radio
broadcast.
broadcast? Yeah.
Everybody write this down and look at it when it's time to look at it. But yeah, it's literally, it's not a song. It's literally just people talking over that beat.
Yeah.
But it was a step. It wasn't rapping. It was the first step on a path that led to a style of rap music that was political and angry and focused on what it was really like to be black in America.
Yeah.
A style we now know as gangster rap. Like this was the baby step to the Baby or whatever rapper name. Isn't that a rapper? Baby?
I don't have no idea.
So, but then it's post-Watts and all of LA's racial problems were solved and the National Guard was never called into the city again.
No, never.
Oh, wait,
Wait a second.
time happened?
I was promised that time wouldn't happen.
I was promised time was going to stand still. Someone who I get confused with Belinda Carlisle once said time after time. Cut to the late 70s and early 80s, and nothing has changed. Even worse, you've got presidents like Ronald Reagan, the actor, and Jimmy Carter, the peanut farmer, who were rolling back taxes, which meant the defunding of public services that actually helped people, which hit kids in places like South Central the hardest. Suddenly, you've got children growing up in a system with centuries of policy aimed against them, now with even fewer agencies available to lend a helping hand because they're defunded. And what does that lead to? hopelessness. And what does that lead to? The rise of gangs in South LA, like we covered in our gang episode. And what does that lead to? Guns and drugs coming into the community. And even if you weren't involved with gangs and guns and drugs, just being from that neighborhood, and even going further, if you looked like people from that neighborhood, the people who were not in that neighborhood assumed you too are a gangster.
Yeah.
That includes rich people. That includes white people. That includes most of all the LAPD. So out of this climate came another style of music in LA that still drew from that jazz and funk tradition, but basically did spoken word poetry over the music. This is groups like the Watts Prophets.
Okay.
And they sounded a little something like this.
I looked at the moon so full and so bright, and then at the fireplace with its flickering light, and realized why this world will never be right. Then I threw another log on the fire. Inside these
That
four
was not me.
walls, I am a king. But beyond that door, it doesn't mean a thing.
So it's literally
I'll pay
just
all my
spoken word. I'm
dues
going to
till I
fast
have
forward
only
a
a
little bit
partial
because
membership
music
in
does
World
come
Happy.
in.
It's very beatniky.
Wait, must write, must explain before it's too late.
It's beatniky.
The flames
It's
are at
just
their
poetry.
peak now,
Yeah.
can't wait. Too many broken promises.
Too many.
Too many black babies asking why.
Really like this.
This was
Too many
another
restless
step on that
arms.
road towards gangster rap.
So I'll just
It's good. It's really good.
It's forming.
Yeah, it's forming. There is a definite style that you can see the building blocks of. And that's what I found so interesting about this is how you can so clearly see the progression.
Yeah.
So you've got two rails, both careening towards what we know as the specific LA type of rap music, gangster rap music. You've got the electro funk of the World Class Wrecking Crew on one side and proto-political rap like the Watts Prophets on the other side. And in between the two, you had magnetic forces pulling these two rails together. First, you have what is considered LA's first true rap song, The Gigolo Rap by Disco Daddy and Captain Rap with two P's.
Oh.
This was 1981.
Okay.
They were two Air Force vets who basically sampled Give It To Me Baby by Rick James and ripped off Rapper's Delight. And this is what it sounds
I
like.
feel like there's so many songs of that era that ripped off Rapper's Delight.
I mean, I do it every day.
Yeah.
This is the bass from Give It To Me Baby.
Oh, you're right. It is.
Everybody, don't you know it's time to party? Everybody.
And that's a rhyme.
Yeah, and you better believe that's a rhyme.
Who's this, y'all? Who's that? I said it's Disco Daddy and Captain Rap. We're gonna take it to the windows, gonna take it to the wall, gonna rock till the sweat roll down your drawers. Now it's Disco Daddy and Captain Rap. We're not just faces in the
I love
crowd.
this so much.
This sounds like if we made a rap song.
Back to back, we're gonna rock the house.
Like the early rap stuff is such a, like it's become such a mocked style,
Yeah.
but like it does sound
I
pretty
do.
good.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is
Wow, I can't get enough of it. I just Carrie Whited that right now. I want to hear it again.
so that's what's considered the first true rap song of Los Angeles.
Okay.
What an honor.
What an honor.
Then in 1983, again, like we talked about in a previous episode, you've got K-Day starts, the world's first 24-hour hip-hop station broadcasting right here out of Los Angeles.
Yes.
They were instrumental in spreading this type of music locally, and its founder, Greg Mack, actually came to LA partly because of what he heard about Uncle Jam's Army. When he got K-Day started, he offered Roger Clayton of Uncle Jam's Army to collaborate with the station for events. And Roger Clayton basically said, "Why would I need you? I'm as big as I am. So K-Day, I'm the king. I don't need you."
I don't need
So
this.
K-Day instead started its own mobile DJ unit, the Mix Masters, which we talked about.
Oh, right. Yeah.
This gave an opportunity to many up and coming DJs and rappers to hone their craft and created more hip hop artists in Los Angeles. The same year K-Day started, another iconic institution opened at 715 South Park View across from MacArthur Park, the Radiotron.
Okay.
Originally a punk space called Radio Club, it was now rebranded in 1983 by its founder, Carmelo Alvarez, officially known as the Youth Break Center. It was a place for kids to come do that new style of dancing we talked about, breakdancing. The LAPD had been giving tickets to kids breakdancing on
Oh
the
my
streets.
God.
So this was a place that they could come do it freely and in a safe space away from drugs and gangs.
Why would they give you a ticket for breakdancing?
Blocking the sidewalk. I don't know. Being too cool for school. And why aren't you in school? It's Saturday. Then why are you too cool for it? At the end of the day, it was a community center, this place. They also offered surfaces to graffiti on so you wouldn't get in trouble for that either.
Right.
This was actually where the first graffiti crews in LA started.
Okay.
And maybe most importantly, it's where they filmed Breakin'. And even more importantly, its sequel, Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, was filmed at this place.
My older brother loves to this day hip hop. But growing up, he loved hip hop. And Breaking was just always on TV.
I thought you were going to say he was in Electric.
Oh, did you know that
Break Into
Mondo's
Electric
in-
Boogaloo?
Yeah, Boogaloo. Electric
Did I
Boogaloo.
not mention that before?
Yeah.
That my brother is in Break Into Electric Boogaloo?
But I remember Breaking sort of just always being on.
You're Mondo to Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah.
So they also had up and coming rappers and DJs perform here as well. And even though it only lasted till 1985, it was an instrumental place for hip hop culture to grow in LA and also for the future rappers to cut their teeth, contributing to the growing stable of LA based rappers like Too Short, Mixmaster Spade, and the creator of the next big milestone song, Toddy T.
Okay.
Todd Howard, as he was born, was one of the early rappers selling street tapes to people at swap meets around town like the Rodeum. But growing up in South Central, he saw what was going on around him, and his big song drew those two rails I was talking about closer than ever, Bataram, in 1985.
Oh, boy.
This was the heart of the Daryl Gates era of the LAPD, and his righteous battle against non-white LA was heating up.
Crash.
In a point of no return in the militarization of the LAPD in 1985, they got their hands on a tank.
Oh,
As we've discussed before.
I know this footage.
Yet again, and they attached a 14-foot battering ram to the front of a tank, which they started using to basically demolish the wall of a house they suspected people of selling drugs out of.
Guys, we found a small baggie of marijuana.
Well, one of the thing, like the first time it was like a news broadcast, they're like, watch us go to bust this drugs. And
I
they-
know the footage.
They demolished a house and it was just like kids watching TV on a couch.
Yep. Sure
Anyway,
was.
an insane tactic that was wildly unsuccessful and forced to stop after about 4 times that they do this. But this song was talking about just how crazy this was and put the LAPD in the spotlight as an enemy of the people, which was a huge step forward for this type of music.
Yeah.
It's regarded as the first reality rap song to come out of LA.
Cool.
And it sounded a little something like this.
This could be a punk song.
This is the tank.
Yeah.
This is the sound of the tank. And that's a signature, the mixing is now in.
It's coming in Detroit. It's coming in LA. It's coming. No, it's here.
Oh, that's great.
Which is also, this is a spooky sound.
Yeah, it is. You and I just find synth music to be spooky.
Yeah.
Went through my page.
Drug busters, you better beware and don't turn your head as if you don't care.
Because they got it.
They got it. They say they got you right in their hands. And they
It's
don't-
crazy knowing what's coming because like NWA is like an explosion.
It is.
Yeah.
And we will hear the literal explosion point, but it's like things are getting political
Yeah.
and you can hear so clearly the steps towards what we know.
Yeah.
Then came August 17th, 1986. Run DMC was performing at the Long Beach Arena. A big night for rap fans in LA. Run DMC is not an LA band.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, both Crips and Bloods showed up to this show and got into a huge
You're
fight.
supposed to come Sunday. We have Saturday. We
This is
can't
a
do Sunday.
2 nights only. That's why there's only Crips and Bloods, because it was a 2-night only show.
No, go back and check the calendar.
We have a skylight calendar that we share, okay? The Google Drive said that the Crips come on Saturday. So they get into a huge fight. 40 people were injured.
Oh my
Even
God.
more are arrested. This was a night that would live in infamy for rap music in general, because now this new type of black music that most white people were skeptical of because it was made by black people and they didn't understand it, finally fulfilled everything they believed
Yeah.
it was. This was violent music for gangsters.
Yeah.
You're going to listen to rap music, there's going to be a fight between gangs. And this was the time that it did happen.
God, Crips and Bloods ruin everything.
Now, the racism I was talking about before of if you live in a neighborhood where there's gangs, that means you're a gangster. This now spread to rap music. Now the white perception of rap music was that if you listen to rap music, you're a gangster because gangsters also listen to rap
You know,
music.
the only way you could buy a Run DMC record is if you do a hit for
Yeah.
a gang, right? If you do a drive-by, then you're allowed to buy the record at a Sam Goody. You can go to a Sam Goody and buy, you just have to prove that you shot innocent people in the street.
There's a button on your boombox that said cassette in, cassette out. It's also blood in, blood out when you buy it. It was almost as crazy a thought as riding a tank with a 14-foot battering ram into a house.
Yeah.
City officials around the entire country started banning rap concerts because they were afraid of violence. But on the flip side of this moral panic, it also showed others the potential power rap music can have. On the surface level, seeing how many people came out to see Run DMC meant a lot of money can be made here. But also seeing how badly it made people in power sweat was, to many, even more tempting.
I'm not going to
Equally tempting.
I'm not going to keep throwing the P word around there. It's pretty punk to be like, this pisses them off. Let's do it louder.
Let's do it louder and make money. So then comes...
So one part the punk bands couldn't do.
They never... Well, Belinda Carlisle did. Then comes 1987. Remember my now tortured metaphor about the two rails of rap music in LA slowly being pulled together? Now the torture is over because someone came onto the scene and slammed them into one rail. Enter New Jersey native, LA raised, Tracy Lauren Marrow, a.k.a. Sergeant Tutola, a.k.a. Ice-T.
Wow. I think Ice-T is great.
I think he's great in Law & Order.
Do you cover the Charlton Heston press conference?
No, there's no Charlton. No, I left Charlton. He knows what he did. He's not in.
I remember they're going over lyrics for Cop Killer, and I don't know why... Maybe it's an NRA thing, but Charlton Heston was at a press conference and he was reading lyrics from Cop Killer. And he's like, catchy little number, isn't it? After like some lyrics about shooting cops dead or something.
You can take my rap music out of my cold dead hand. Get your damn hands off me, rap music. So he's Ice-T, not Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
He started in the electro funk scene.
But did he really?
Yeah, he was doing that here. But in 1987, he released an album called Rhyme Pays, funny, which supposedly was the first album to ever have a parental warning sticker on it.
Whoa.
But one track on it in particular was called 6 in the Morning.
Okay.
So let's listen to that.
Do I know this song? I feel like I do. I feel like a certain brother would play it all the time.
It's not Snoop Dogg yelling, they ain't leaving till 6 in the morning.
Oh, it might be that.
Although that might be a reference to this.
6 in the morning, police at my door. Fresh Adidas squeak across the bathroom floor. Out my back window.
So it's still got that that electro funk, but yeah, that early hip hop sound. But he's telling a story.
Got a knot in my pocket weighing at least a grand. Gold on my neck, my pistol's close at hand. I'm a self-made monster of the city streets, remotely controlled by hard hip-hop beats. But just
interestingly, he's now busting this exact type of person on Law and Order Wednesday nights on CBS.
It's very like I have to relate everything to punk, but it's so like the Ramones were writing songs about sniffing glue and they were using 3 chords to do it. Like they were almost there. They're almost at the thing.
It's so close. So 6 in the morning, this was a 7-minute long rap, basically about...
It's 7 minutes?
It's 7 minutes. You want to listen to all of it? Yeah, it's 7 minutes long. Basically about life in South Central, being in a gang, getting harassed by the LAPD, killing people with guns, and disturbing violence against women. Now, this wasn't the first gangster rap song, but it was the one that solidified where this subgenre of rap was going and what its potential could be.
Yeah.
So this was kind of like the coming out party for gangster rap.
The car's been steered in that direction.
Yeah, it's been locked onto the track at Rawtopia.
Yeah.
And now you can't control it anymore. It shifted the typical rap lyrics about loving and dancing. It was kind of, used to be light, fluffy things, to lyrics about sex, drugs, and violence, exaggerated brags about things, hyper local references. And what was unique about this song coming out of LA as opposed to New York was that it was obsessively focused on the police.
Yes.
And thanks to LA, that became the defining characteristic of gangster rap. It was anti-cop music.
Very anti-cop, hard line in the sand.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were alive and paying attention, but my brother was into, as I remember, but like, it was just like
Mondo 1,
yeah.
Electric Booga 1.
Like the whole thesis statement of gangster rap was, we're going to kill every cop we see. And it was and all the movies reflected it. The news reflected it. The music reflected it. Like it was just always a thing.
Yeah. And that's why your brother is in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I work with him now.
That's why you got the job.
That's why I got the job, yeah.
So this music had almost a journalistic documentary quality to it that detailed day-to-day life in this world, in this part of the city. And in doing so, preserved a moment in Black American culture during this era. I read it referred to as pistols and palm trees. Like that was the type of music that this was.
I love that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But Ice-T rapped so that ice could then be cubed. So now it's 1988.
Yes.
And much like me being born, everything we've been talking about came to a head.
The crowned.
Rap music. Oh, rap music is breached. Rap music has to be C-sectioned. Gangsta rap is now a form, and Daryl Gates escalates the LAPD even further, what he called Operation Hammer.
Oh yeah, Hammer. That's what I'm thinking of.
And this is where MC Hammer was born. He released, it was like when they released the mosquitoes that neutralize other mosquitoes. Let's release MC Hammer into so Operation Hammer, this started in 1987 and was meant to crack down on gang violence.
Did it work?
Have you seen a gang? Have you seen a gang?
Is there a gang right now?
Is there a gang in the room? So the method of this, rampant racial profiling of Black and Latino people.
And the militarization of the police, like they got
Hey, that
tanks
already-
and
they
bazookas.
got a tank already.
Yeah, they already had the tanks.
So thousands of people were arrested, usually without much or any proof, on suspicion of being in a gang. In one weekend in April 1988, 1,453 people were arrested by 1,000 cops in South Central. Over 2 days, this happened. Daryl Gates. That's
ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ludicrous that it would never happen in 2025. So Daryl Gates said the purpose of this operation was to make war on all the rotten little cowards terrorizing the city.
Wow.
Suddenly, Black kids' interest in the anti-cop themes of gangster rap rose alongside the rising instances of violence the LAPD were committing.
It's looking at the graphs and charts. It really is like
Yeah,
they got more aggressive, so we got more aggressive.
You can see the numbers in correlation.
Yeah.
Enter Eric Wright, aka Eazy-E.
Eazy-E.
He wasn't a particularly well-regarded rapper around LA for his talent, but he made up for that with style, attitude, and maybe most importantly, he had business sense.
Oh, did
he was
he?
a good businessman. A lot of people around this time were starting independent record labels, and he was one of them with his Ruthless Records.
Okay.
But he had a very specific mission statement of sorts. After the Run DMC riot, Run DMC denounced the gang members who had started the violence at their shows. But the way Eazy-E saw it, those gang members were the ones who cared most about rap music and what it was speaking to. So he decided not to ignore these people or try to cut them out, but rather cater directly to the gang members. An artistic choice, but also do not discount the cynical aspect of this decision that he knew he could cash in on a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
Eazy-E was extremely entrepreneurial. What he came up with was yet another seminal LA rap song, Boys in the Hood, which was very plot driven.
Yes.
So and now we're going to hear Fat Lip just because.
Just because I miss it so much.
I miss Fat Lip.
Boys in the Hood is you're right. It is that amped up.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4", jocking the freaks, clocking the dough. Went to the park to get the scoop.
Also kind of spooky.
It's kind of Monster Mashy.
A car pulls up, who can it be? A fresh El Camino rolling Kilo G.
Plot driven again.
Yeah, you're right.
Started to say, it's all about making that GTA. Cause the boys in the hood are always
Gotta start
hard.
fading it out.
Talking the trash will pull your car. Knowing nothing in life but to be legit. Don't
Yeah.
quote me, boy, cause I ain't sick.
He's got something.
I cut it, man. The cutting out of a really dirty word. I think you might have said doo-doo. So there's that, but he wasn't alone in creating this song.
Yeah.
As part of the scene, he met that guy who was in Uncle Jam's army and used to perform at Eve After Dark way back when, Dr. Dre.
Right.
So he knew Dr. Dre. He brought him in. He also knew a guy around town who was in a group called Stereo Crew and also the CIA, Criminals in Action. Cool. His name was O'Shea Jackson, but he went by Ice Cube.
He sure did.
Then Ice Cube connected him with a guy he knew named Kim Renard Nazel, N-A-Z, who went by Arabian Prince. So all these guys helped with the Boys in the Hood. They helped with this song.
Oh, did they?
But it was an Eazy-E song.
Okay.
But then they decided to make a group of their own that would change everything. To round things out, Eazy-E brought in another guy he knew named Lorenzo Gerald Patterson, who went by MC Ren. And then Dr. Dre brought in a guy he knew from Uncle Jam's army and also from his time as part of the K-Day Mixmasters, DJ Yella. And they called themselves NWA, which stands for Not Want to Say Out Loud. Their debut album came out 8/8/88.
Did it really?
1988, straight out of Compton, and it was earth shattering.
Yeah, they're the Black Flag of rap.
Oh, so they have to be a Black Flag reg. Everything I'd been talking about for the last 4 pages finally came together at the pinnacle of its potential. The beats, the sound, the lyricism, the activism, the violence, the attitude, the history. It was all there on this album. It was the declaration of a new genre and definitely a new era of music and kind of a new era of American culture. And here's a clean version
Oh my God.
of how it went that we listened to in our song of LA episode.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Straight out of Compton, crazy named Ice Cube. From the gang called with attitudes. When I'm called off, I got a sawed off. Squeeze the trigger and bodies are hauled off. You too, boy, if you're with me. The police are gonna have to come and get me off your.
It's so driving.
It's so strong.
Yeah.
It's so angry.
Yeah.
It's so violent.
It's the encapsulation of it. Yeah, like you're saying, like everything.
Everything I've been talking about, all of the built up influences and feelings, it all came out in NWA, and you can hear it.
Yeah.
And it came out during the height of Operation Hammer, of which Ice Cube said, "We're trying to show how it is on the other side, what it's like to have to deal with that kind of asshole cop on a daily basis." They saw themselves as underground street reporters and even used their music videos as a further expression of the points they were trying to make. And for as much acclaim as this album got, they got even more criticism for it, which they not only...
were people critical of that?
Who? Which they not only thrived on, but wanted, because it was almost always the wrong side that was criticizing them. And that meant making a lot of enemies. They started calling out East Coast rappers, saying they were more authentic and true to life than they were.
Yeah, boy, don't do that.
Even just their name sparked a reclamation of the N-word amongst young black kids, which rubbed a lot of both black and white people the wrong way. But nothing caused more of an outrage on this album than their song, Fornicate the Police.
Yes, that's a big one.
This song was obviously singled out as being the epitome of what's wrong with rap music in the media. It even led the Fraternal Order of Police to tell their members all across the country to not help with security at NWA concerts.
Wow. Yeah, they were getting hired in the first place. That song is such... We're not going to even hide it anymore.
Yeah,
like,
it's pretty out. It's pretty all on the table.
Yeah, why give it a different title? Like, why? No. This is what we mean. We're not mincing words anymore.
Also, on August 1st, 1989, they got a letter from the FBI regarding the song saying, advocating violence and assault is wrong.
Is FBI another rap group?
No, that's the CIA. Which was such an overreach of the government by late 80s standards that even NWA's critics took NWA's side to protect their freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
But they also did deserve a lot of the criticism they got. Some of their lyrics were in poor taste. A lot of it was misogynistic. Some of it is racist. Some argued that it was exploiting the Black American struggle for profit and was normalizing gang violence. Yeah, it was. Like, these are all valid. And Dr. Dre was physically abusive to women. He beat up a lot of women.
Yeah.
But with this one album, the focus of the rap world officially shifted away from New York City onto Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But much like Icarus flying too close to the sun, NWA's Wings of Words, I'll Never Say, burned up just as quickly as they took flight. Personal drama and financial disagreements set in immediately. First, Arabian Prince left, and then in 1989, Ice Cube, who was regarded as the best rapper of the group, also left. The guys that remain released a second album in 1991 that don't make me say its name, but those were the only two albums NWA ever released, and only Straight Out of Compton was truly an NWA album. So it was really just a flash in the pan. Like, this did not last long.
Yeah.
Then Dr. Dre and Eazy-E got into a feud, and the whole thing just fell apart. Eazy-E went on to mentor Bone Thugs and Harmony and also Will.i.am before he died of AIDS on March 26, 1995. But the solo careers of Ice Cube and Dr. Dre set the stage for everything that came after this. Ice Cube had success with solo albums like America's Most Wanted before transitioning into movies with his iconic work in Friday, Boys in the Hood, and most importantly, The War of the Worlds 2025.
Tell me about the experience of doing research for this episode.
Every time I was like, Ice Cube, everything that came up, because it was right when the War of the Worlds movie, and everything that came up with Ice Cube is in the worst movie ever made, War of the Worlds.
Well, finally people are starting to watch Are You Here Yet? Or Are You There Yet? Are we there yet? The history of Ice Cube. What is it talking about? Trains and refrigeration. Oh, wrong one.
Ice Cube is what made the shipment of oranges possible. But what Dr. Dre did post NWA is almost unbelievable. And I'm not talking about beating women.
Talk about beats the headphone.
Let me just give you a list of some of the people whose careers he helped launch or whose music he produced. Eminem, 50 Cent, Exhibit, Anderson .Paak, I think that's how it's pronounced, Kendrick Lamar, T.I., Mary J. Blige, not to mention his own record label that he started in 1991 with his totally unproblematic former football player bodyguard, Marion Hugh Suge Knight. Death Row Records at 10900 Wilshire in Westwood. And their debut album was a Dr. Dre album that once again changed rap music, and that was The Chronic, released in 1992. What he did on this album was he took gangster rap lyrics, but essentially made it poppy.
Yeah.
Like he turned it into pop music.
Nirvana.
Nirvana wanted-
scary stuff, and then you're just like, but I'm gonna like make it like a Beatles song.
He leaned more heavily into the music's funk roots, and in doing so created a whole new genre of rap called gangsta funk or G-funk.
Mm-hmm.
And it went a little something like this. Funky, Greg.
Really funky.
Funky.
1, 2, 3 into the 4. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr.
And
Dre
keep
is
this
at the
man's
door.
voice in
Ready to
mind.
make an entrance, so
What's he
back
doing
on
now?
up, 'cause you know we're about to rip it up. Give me the microphone first so I
What
can
president
bust
does he
like a
support?
Compton and Long Beach together. Now you know you in trouble. Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. Too low depth.
Man, 1994. Is that when that came out? Does it say
This was
when?
1992.
92. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I heard it.
You weren't
94.
alive yet. Yeah, well, I heard it first in 1994.
Yeah, everywhere you go, Kmart played everywhere.
And the album was a huge crossover hit. Like you're saying, that introduced rap music to a more mainstream audience and cemented its place as the official music of parties.
Yeah.
Now, like, you weren't going to listen to rock and roll. Like, you were going to listen to rap music at a party now.
Especially if it's a house party.
But if it's a kickback, though,
Yeah.
you're listening to
To
Pump.
Rob Thomas and Santana.
You got to listen to 30 Seconds from Mars. But even more so than that, it heavily featured and launched the career of the man who had crystallized this new style of catchy rap songs, Calvin Cortazar Brodus Jr., a.k.a. Snoop Doggy Dogg.
There's nothing wrong with his real name, but okay.
It's a pretty cool real
It's
name.
a pretty cool real name.
Long Beach native, he grew up going to VIP Records at 1030 PCH in Long Beach, which had been around since 1978. And when they opened a recording studio in 1992 that Snoop used, it helped bring Long Beach into the rap tapestry of Los
Oh, wow,
Angeles,
okay.
this one record store.
Yeah.
He was introduced to Dr. Dre through another influential G-Funk artist, Warren Griffin III, aka Warren G,
yeah.
who was Dr. Dre's stepbrother.
Was he really?
Yeah, and
didn't know that.
Snoop brought into the G-Funk mix his cousin, Nathaniel Dwayne Hale, aka Nate Dogg. They were cousins.
Okay.
Other local G-Funk artists were DJ Quick, DJ Pooh, Cold 187 UM, I have no idea how to pronounce that,
Yeah.
and The Dog Pound. But with Snoop Doggy Dogg's first album, Doggy Style, coming out in 1993 from Death Row Records, it was really a passing of the torch to the new generation and the new sound. It wasn't as deep or as meaningful as what NWA was doing, but it was fun.
Yeah.
And it sounded great.
Yeah, it sounded really good.
It was catchy. It was smooth. It celebrated LA and the LA lifestyle. It was a less threatening form of rap that got stuck in your head. And because of that, it became the commercial hip hop sound and ushered in the era of that West Coast rap sound being the dominant music of pop culture. And it went a little something like this. I love this sound.
Yeah. It's pretty spooky.
Fact. Like that, like that sound is so summer in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like that is such a distinct LA sound.
Yeah.
It's censored. So now this
Really
is
good. I like
He's
it's
good.
It's obvious, his career is, the longevity, but like he's also very good at his job.
he became a MAGA loving joke, but
Yeah.
like he made really good music. But again, it was shallow.
Yeah.
This was shallow music. So if G-Funk was an elevation musically of West Coast rap, it could be argued it was a step down lyrically.
Yes.
But the next person in line corrected what this new style was lacking lyrically, and that was Tupac Shakur.
Yeah.
He was also part of Death Row Records, and even with how popular NWA and Snoop Dogg were, he took rap to a level of popularity nobody imagined it could get to. His songs were catchy, and as people either cooler or maybe not cooler than me would say, he could spit, Greg. And his lyrics were emotional and they were political. He was like, he had... Let's just listen to it.
He had the juice.
He had the juice. He could spit, Craig.
Yeah. But not like those angry Orange County boys at punk shows would spit.
Yeah. Not literally. Like it's still smooth. It's still interesting.
I get around. Still clown when the underground when we come around.
And he had a way with words. Like
He's a good writer.
Yeah.
Stronger than ever. Back to get wrecked. All respect to those who break their neck to keep their hoes in check. Cause though they sweat a brother majorly. And I don't know why your girl keeps paging me to tell me that she needs me. Cries when she leaves me. And every time she sees me, she squeeze me. Lady, take it easy. Hate
Yeah, he really is the synthesis of like everything before him.
Yeah, he really, it's, and there's another guy coming up who did it again, but like, he synthesized everything. He took it to a different level. And then he made Fat Lip. So unfortunately, he was caught up in the East Coast, West Coast feud that had been brewing that culminated with his murder in Las Vegas in 1996 and the retaliatory murder of East Coast rapper The Notorious B.I.G. in Fairfax in 1997, as we talked about before. And from here, rap music splintered in a million different ways, especially in LA, which already had a lot of subsets, partly because of the geography of LA County. It's so big.
Yeah.
Different isolated areas would evolve their own unique sound. Compton had its sound with NWA, so the Snoop Dogs and others created a sound different from that coming out of Long Beach. And then
Which
Inglewood,
is more ocean, like for some reason, just more oceany.
It's more like a port sound.
Yeah.
And then Inglewood created a sound different from that, and so on and so on and so on. So there were other groups around LA that weren't doing gangster rap. You had the Far Side in 1991, which
Far Side's from LA?
From LA, which was less about violence and had a much jazzier sound, as you go with this.
Far Side's really good.
They're from LA.
I didn't know that.
In particular, they're from a scene I'm about to talk about. But
well, how does it start?
Well, this is a story. I'm going to fast forward a little bit so we can really hear that jazz influence.
First I write her name, then carve a plus with my name last. Slumped the looking glass. I seen her yesterday, but still I had to let her pass.
That's jazz. Like, this is jazz.
Far Side and Tribe Called Quest really musically are
Hey,
just
they're not
like
from LA.
shut up about them.
They don't exist. They're bad. And also another group similar to this was Freestyle Fellowship. You had Soul Assassins and Liquid Crew. You had record companies like Delicious Vinyl, which released Young MC's Bust a Move, which was a much more family-friendly version.
Somebody
of hip-hop.
has to do it.
Somebody has to do it, and we have to listen to this.
Bust it.
Yeah.
So this is also in LA. This came from the LA scene. It was just like almost a straight up commercial version of it.
It's funny because if you said like this was East Coast, like you're lying. This is like Canadian rap or something.
This is what they call Huntington Beach rap. It's still a good song.
It's so a good song. It's so house party.
Yeah. The sanitized commercial version.
But it still works.
It's good.
Yeah.
There's no
the way
denying
the
it.
nerves are like, you know, the pop version of a punk band.
Yeah, it's all part of the tapestry.
Yes.
And then similar to this, you had Tone Lock's Wild Thing.
All right.
Which was mega platinum popular hip hop. Like this is for the masses popular stuff.
I just saw him in Heat the other day too. I was like, Tone Loc? I always forget he's
Is it
in
Tone
that.
Loc or Tone Loc? I don't know.
Loc.
See,
I think
I
it's
can't
Tone
pronounce
Loc.
any of these names. Is it Wild Thing? And there was also a big Chicano rap scene with people in groups like Kid Frost, A Lighter Shade of Brown, Mellow Man Ace, Props Dose, Alt, and The Lost Civilization. And of course, you've got this song.
Were you trying to get crazy with this, eh? Don't you know I'm loco?
You had Cypress Hill, Chicano rap from LA.
They're incredible. And, you know, their cameo on The Simpsons is great too.
Most importantly.
Yeah. The measure of any good band. Are you on The Simpsons?
That was a big influential scene for hip hop.
Oh, yeah. Be real. Cypress Hill's great.
But again, there's just not time in this episode to discuss these people. Well, we could do another 3 hours.
Yeah.
But the most influential hub of what was sort of the alternative rap scene was the Good Life Cafe at 3631 Crenshaw in Crenshaw. It opened in 1990 as the Good Life Health Food Center by Janie Mae Scott Goodkin, who was a health food advocate that wanted a health food restaurant in a black neighborhood. But in late 1991, they opened up a sort of performance area of the restaurant and started having jazz nights and drum nights and reggae nights and lecture nights. But then Thursday nights was the hip hop open mic nights.
Okay.
They started this because there were a ton of rappers in this part of town, but they all had to drive to Hollywood to be able to get stage time.
Yeah.
So this was a local place to do that. And for that reason, they became massively popular in its prime. there would be 300 people a night showing up.
Damn, is it like a bucket or a list?
There's a bucket, but it seems like they always pick their friends.
Everyone's folding the paper in a weird way, so you know which ones to pick.
Tone Lock would really fold it this way. That was my standard. Tone Lock folds their bucket slip like this, but Young MC folds their bucket. So this was Thursday nights. And because of that, because of how many people would show up, the competition was fierce to get on stage. And when you did, you had better be good. You were wasting people's time if you weren't good, and you'd be booed off the stage Showtime at the Apollo style.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing about this open mic was that swearing was not allowed.
Whoa.
This was an NWA night. It was a health food restaurant, Greg. And
there's dragon fruit.
There's bean sprouts in the counter.
On the other side of that wall. And you have to respect that.
And people actually, if not liked, appreciated the rule because it forced you to be more creative with your words.
Yeah.
Something Fat Joe couldn't do because he was famously booed off the stage for swearing.
I hope it was for that, not for him being fat. I hope it was for
This
swearing.
is for swearing, I swear. Oh, no, I swore. And because everyone was trying their absolute best to play within those parameters and also to impress their peers, new styles came out of this place, including the kinds I just mentioned, but people like Medusa, the Gangsta Goddess, Jurassic 5, Will.i.am, who was considered one of the best freestyle rap battlers ever, and Ava DuVernay, who used to rap.
I didn't know that.
And it became a known place that big names would come to visit. Denzel Washington would stop by. White Boy from Silver Lake, Beck, would stop by.
Beck?
Rosa Parks and Maya Angelou came.
What?
Yeah. I mean, this was like a hub of black culture, and people came. Like a lot of industry talent scouts were coming to the open mic. Wow. I don't know if Rosa Parks and Maya Angelou were at the open mic, but they came to the good mic. But they might have come to the open mic because it was a no swearing place, so Rosa Parks won't be offended. That was the rule. Rosa Parks might come here.
Dude, Rosa Parks is
Rosa Parks, should I not do my Rosa Parks rap?
Well, if Rosa Parks showed up, they would have to, I mean, the host would have to like try to get her up early because she's got other mics to hit.
Yeah, she had to get to Meltdown before they closed.
Yeah, she needed to say chime.
So a version of it was even featured in the TV show Moesha. Like a hangout place was the good version of the Go.
Oh, interesting.
The successor to this was Project Blowed or Project Blowed, but I don't know how to pronounce it. That also had a huge impact on this alternative scene, but the Tupac and Biggie murders also led rap down a more introspective and kind of depressed path, which led to LA reshaping the sound of hip hop yet again in the 2000s with people in groups like Odd Future, Schoolboy Q, Drakeo the Ruler, Drakeo, I don't know. And my new favorite rap name, 03 Greedo. Helped along by online blogs, including the big LA-based one, Two Dope Boys. But there were two that have been the biggest of our modern era. Yep. The first was Ermias Joseph Asgedom, aka Nipsey Hussle, easier to pronounce.
That's why you chose it.
Who had a lot of talent, but also a lot of marketing talent. So he was selling his CDs for $100 each as a gimmick, and that caught Jay-Z's attention. Like the gimmick worked. He was also dedicated to helping out the South Central community before he was killed on March 31st, 2019 in front of his clothing store at Slauson and Crenshaw.
Yikes.
But the king of the hill and the current culmination of everything I've been talking about.
He's so good.
I don't even have time to get into him because I was focusing more on the past, but he's the modern culmination of everything I've been talking about for the last God knows how long. Compton's own Kendrick Lamar Duckworth.
That's his last name?
Mercifully losing the Duckworth part.
He doesn't want people to know he's related to Scrooge
McDuckworth. Don't tell Drake. He has created a new type of rapper that is more vulnerable, open about mental health while still being authentic and gangsta, but not at the expense of your own well-being.
And also musically so interesting. I found him because I like Kamisi Washington a lot, and he had worked with him, and the sounds in Kendrick Lamar are so spacey. He like tries like borders on like Sun Ra.
We're gonna listen to a little bit. This was all work he was given the Pulitzer Prize for in 2018 for his album Damn, making him the first rap artist to do so.
Great.
And he sounds a little something. I almost opened my food map in all my Google Drive.
Your reflexes.
I could go to a disco to this.
This what I feel like. Yeah. Laughing to the bank like
And this is off that album that he won the Pulitzer.
Yeah.
Which, again, he won a Pulitzer
Prize, yeah. That's not a Grammy.
This isn't a Kid's Choice Award.
Fact.
But yeah, it was just so interesting to me to follow that line so far to get to Kendrick Lamar, who won like the highest prize in art for doing rap music. So a long road of influences and tragedy that led us to the world of rap music we are currently living in, that once again, I'm the last person who should have been telling this story. So
I hope that you learned something.
I hope I learned something. I hope I learned something from this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a overview of the rap history of Los Angeles. But an incredible journey.
Yeah.
Homeward bound.
Homeward bound. The convergence points in your story are so interesting because, like, who knows what's the next thing?
Yeah. I mean, we know, they didn't know, but it is just, from now, who knows what the next
big thing is.
Like it seemed like NWA was the pinnacle, and then a couple years later,
Tupac
comes
comes
the
along.
Chronic. Yeah, then comes Tupac. And along came Tupac, and there goes Tupac. But it's just crazy. It's such an interesting music form,
and it seems like yours picks up sort of where mine exits mid 80s. Yours picks up really in full steam late 80s, but it's almost like one story.
Yeah, they are sister music. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the same venues, like, all right, at 8 o'clock, all the punks are going to leave.
Yeah.
And then,
we'll have someone come in here and clean all their spit and boogers off the ground or whatever.
So now, before we get to our listener question of our longest episode ever, I'm pretty sure this is going to be over 3 hours.
The hot dog one is not still win?
We could make it. That was a foot long episode. So pre-listener question plug. Support us on Patreon. Why not? Patreon.com/LA Meekly. For as little as $5 a month, you'll get a handwritten postcard from us from a different place in LA each month, and we'll send it to you. And you support the show.
Important.
It was not easy to pay for all those ads to go away after that one mishap when I tried playing Fat Lip.
Yeah.
But for $1 a month, you don't get anything, but you still support us. But at any level, you'll get an official LA Meekly sticker sent to you. So the Patreon.com/LA Meekly. And now, it's our listener question.
Oh boy.
This is an old one. He sent this a long time ago, and we never got to it. This is from Travis Latrine, which is his punk name.
Hi, Travis.
Imagine you've met somebody that's never been to Los Angeles and you have a day to show them the city. Where do you take them and what do you do to show them the true heart of the city? What is your Los Angeles that you would want to share with somebody? I really had to think about this.
Yeah.
You want me to go first or do you want to go first?
I mean, I can go first. I have an answer for that.
Okay. Yeah, you jumped at this one. You said I can answer that.
Yeah, I think I can.
And then when we walked in the room, he said, oh no, I don't have an answer.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about it. I would drive them along Broadway from the bridges in Lincoln Heights to the end, like maybe around Olympic, because there's so much history on that street, which is like 5 miles. Because if you start in Lincoln Heights, that's where the Spanish first came and said we could build a city here. They looked up, from Elysian Valley, looked down at the convergence point. What was it, like Fajes, the Spanish explorer? And then you follow Broadway down. It's the Zanja Madre, which is how you got water from the river to Olvera Street. You pass through Chinatown. You cross City Hall, downtown, Broadway Theater, or the Bradbury Building, and then the Broadway Theater District.
Are you stopping at these places or are you just
driving through, slow cruising? But like so much of the history of the first part of the 20th century in LA, through the boom, from the sleepy little Pueblo town up to the Broadway Theater District, is in that like 4 or 5 miles or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think that's a good like window into the heart of the city.
You're going straight history on this one. My answer, I like the culture.
Oh my God. Which
we're going to watch Benjamin Button at the Academy Museum.
Yeah.
Which what were we going to say?
I was going to say, which halal guys are you taking this tourist to?
Well, get a load of this. We're going to all the halal guys, which is a New York restaurant. So I felt like this question is leaning away from going to main tourist places, but I still think I would drive this person through Hollywood and Santa Monica because as touristy as they are, I still think that's part of the heart of LA.
Yeah.
You got to see the ocean. You got to see the rich neighborhoods around Hollywood, but also just driving through like more normal neighborhoods and just seeing like Eagle Rock, Highland Park, like just seeing how each neighborhood can be so different. Yeah. And in this, it's one day, so we probably don't have time to go into many attractions, but just seeing them gives you a feel for for, everything. But most important for me, wouldn't you believe it, is that we're eating at least 3 meals.
Nah.
And each one is going to be a different culture. And this is not, we're not going to fancy places either, okay?
Okay.
But you're still paying. These restaurants I'm about to list, it's not a definitive list, but just an example of the type of itinerary I would give this theoretical person who would visit me.
Me?
We're getting a good old-fashioned American diner breakfast at Nat's Coffee Shop.
Right on. Okay, take me there.
We're getting lunch at any taco stand. Let's just say Leo's in Echo Park. That's
Nice.
where we're getting tacos. We're getting a second lunch. We're going to go to a Middle Eastern place. Let's say Taste of Tehran in Westwood. That's where we're going.
Okay.
We're getting Ethiopian food for dinner at Rosalind's in Little Ethiopia. We're getting Chinese food at Chengdu Taste in Alhambra for second dinner. We're getting banana pudding at Magnolia Bakery for dessert. Then we're getting Thrifty's ice cream, which is its own thing at whatever Rite Aid is still open. This day will both require and cause a massive amount of gas.
Is your visitors Merry and Pippin?
I only have Middle Earth visitors. Only hobbits need apply to this itinerary.
Hobbits with empty stomachs.
Hobbits with dirty faces. But yeah, I feel like culturally you'll get literally a good taste of LA.
Yeah. Several good tastes of LA.
So that's been I'm going to be editing this for...
Don't edit mine.
I won't edit Greg's part where he says all of the worst things that members of the punk community have said. I won't edit that.
Oh yeah,
out.
I'm going to leave that in.
So that's our September episode. Stay cool. We're sipping on gin and let's just say, I don't know, juice. Why not?
You said juice, right?
Sipping on gin and juice. That's what my birthday, my
your bar mitzvah.
Gin and juice. That was the theme of my bar mitzvah, gin and juice.
Gin and juice.
So we'll see you in October. Things are getting a little spooky.
Yeah, I forget.
So that's been yet another episode of Ellie Meekly.
Fact. Since
2013.
Fact. Bye.